As we enter the knockout stage, everything is on the line in this featured matchup presented.
Repulse in, huge time block, but they're diving. They've already got 5.
Not quite. But let's refresh on the last 2 times, or last time rather, that these teams met. Saigon Buffalo up against the Mad Lions, Lyric.
Yeah, sadly for the Buffalo, wasn't able to work out the last time. I feel like Mad Lions came with a really good plan. I mean, they just have this unkillable composition, right? We went over it the other day when I threw the poro at you. It felt like all the damage just bounced right off Mad Lions' composition when you have a Seraphine, a Swain in the mid lane, and with the Hecarim as well. There was a good try, right? We saw them trying to find those flank attempts, especially with the Camille. They just couldn't have any of that damage stick.
Yeah, and I think this type of composition, they've played twice. The actual Gnar, Hecarim, Seraphine, if we're speaking about Mad Lions, they won both of those games. It'll be curious to see how much Saigon Buffalo stops them from having that again, basically.
Yeah.
We talk about how important that kind of trio of champions can be for Mad Lions' success in general. That makes me want to dive deeper into, team composition discussions. What these teams look like or can gain or get that makes them look successful. Let's start on the side of Mad Lions, Lyric.
Yeah, I feel like Mad Lions has been like a really interesting team when we think about the compositions they played, because coming in, we really thought about Niski as this player who likes to push and move, who wasn't going to be this like huge damage dealer for the team. But actually, so far in play-ins, Niski has been someone, again, we've seen things like the Swain coming out. We've seen him being a huge team fight carry. And, yeah, playing many different compositions, right? Things like the Seraphine comps where they're kind of out-healing everything the enemy throws at them. And then we have things like the Talia, more of the push and move, him playing towards sides. So I think they have been pretty diverse in playing so far. Well,
I think when we talk champ select, we're always considering what the prep and the strategies that the coaches will bring to the table will be. Lucky for us, we got a coach interview with Mad Lions, Mac, just earlier. Let's take a look.
And we're back in Mexico ahead of today's series between the Mad Lions and the Saigon Buffaloes. And Mac, thank you for joining me ahead of this game. Tell me about the matchup. Tell me about the Saigon Buffalo. Talking to Impact last night, we were expecting a bloody series, of course, given how aggressive they can be. What do you think it's going to come down to today?
I think it's going to be a lot about team fighting for sure. I mean, usually a lot of series are, but especially against Saigon, I think it's going to be, really, really coming down to the team fights.
It's starting to be a meme, the fact that Mad Lions in best of 1 versus Mad Lions in best of 5 series is really not the same beast. What's your take on that, and how do you expect things to go today? And is it something you try to correct, let's say, approaching today's series?
No, not really. I think we played 2 BO5s this year, and one of them was a close 2-3. Like, it's not that bad, guys.
No.
But no, yeah. I mean, obviously we have a lot to prove still. So that's the aim today. But our philosophy on how to run a BO5 hasn't changed. That's for sure.
All right. Looking forward to seeing what you guys have in store for us. Last question. Someone on Twitter said that the last time we saw the Mad Lions in the playing stage was versus TCL. It was a complicated series. What is hard about playing the minor regions team, and how do you expect this one to go?
I think it's always weird to come up against different metas, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Saigon plays like the Zac mid and the Lilia top and stuff like this, which obviously we don't really have any experience playing against.
Yeah.
So there's always surprise factor there. They tend to be very specialized, so it's about like adapting to the series meta is going to be really important because there will be a really strong series meta, I think.
You also brought up some new picks. Anything special we can expect today? Just a teaser. Don't give out anything.
Ooh, is there? Maybe.
Maybe?
Yeah, I think there might be.
All right.
There might be.
Let's keep an eye out. Mac, thank you so much. Good luck today. Dash, back to you in LA.
Keeping a couple things close to the chest there when it comes to the strategies and the approach to today's
hope
best
so.
of five. Yeah, exactly. That is probably the smart
Picking
decision for a coach to be
Seraphine
making. Either way, it's Saigon Buffalo on one side, Mad Lions on the other. We're diving into two best of fives today. Let's get out to Quick Shot and Goldberg to get this day underway.
The Mad Lions roar to life!
I think we can expect for sure a bloodbath. It's gonna be a lot of fighting for sure. We're a better team and we also have better players, but we should never underestimate them.
Bọn mình rất là tự tin khi đối đầu với Madland. Trận đấu của Chúa Tể Sơn Lâm và Châu Điên sẽ...
Saigon Buffalo know how to fight.
If I play against BJ to my standards, yeah, I'm gonna come out hiding this matchup.
Người chơi rừng của Madland, Eloya, anh ta cũng đánh khá là hay và cũng mắc ít lỗi. Nhưng ở trong trận đấu này mình sẽ cẩn thận hơn về chừng của anh ta. Châu Điên sẽ hút Chúa Tể Sơn Lâm thế nào là biết mùi của Châu Điên.
지금 LJ
to be two very different styles that came through, but obviously as well with the Seraphine ban, that does leave open the Silas instead for Niski, something he wasn't allowed to play the first time he went at it.
Now, when I take a look at stats on this one, Silas is Niski's second most played champion this year with 6 games, and he has won 4 of them. That Callista, only 3 games played, 4 Unforgiven if it comes through. On the side of Saigon Buffalo, now they have the opportunity to lock in Callista 8 games for Shogun. Gonna decide against it instead. Lock down the tree and the cake.
Yeah, so last time around they locked it in with the rotation of Misfortune and Maokai, but of course when Maokai is open, you pretty much want to grab it. Does still leave open the Misfortune. You can still go for support that can contest the push, like a Karma as well for Unforgiven, or Kaiser rather, if that's what you're looking for. But the jungle pool will also start to get trimmed if Elyoya doesn't get a champion he feels comfortable on here. And with Hecarim being up and available, that's pretty much just what you go for in that instance. Now, from the side of Namut or Amut, we have seen Nabi up and something they prioritized before. And yeah, sorry, there you have it. Does come through. I mean, you just have to.
It was like subtle. I actually confused myself for a brief moment, but really well played. Not too surprising.
I wasn't trying to.
Not at all. It worked really well. I will say, by the way, on that Hecarim pick in particular, both game played, both of them victories, both games of Gnar for Amut, both of them were victories as well.
And this is something you have to anticipate because Saigon Buffalo has been the team that wanted to bring out the SAG mid. Just hovering it there, as Mad Lions, you are probably thinking, is that something we need to ban going into the second ban phase? And then interestingly as well, they have decided to opt in for the Morgana rather than the locks that we've seen so often. Now, Morgana, of course, enables you with a black shield. That means you have to ban the Karma, because not only does Karma contest the push on a Caitlyn, she also takes away the black shield with a Mantra Q. So Enchantress actually does fairly well into Morgana because you mess with that black shield.
Oh, man, nicely done. Let's see, where do you Kaiser and Unforgiven want to take this bottom lane? That is what we're waiting to see in phase 2. Taking their time on this next ban, and I think for the likes of Saigon Buffalo, once again seeing something different. This is a first-time Caitlyn, first-time Morgana at Worlds play-ins for Shogun and Taki. But when I take a look throughout the course of the year, I actually cannot see any Caitlyn games either here for Shogun, only 1 game for Morgana, so even different to what we've seen from their regional play.
Most certainly, but I really rate the Morgana pick. Something that Kaiser has been showing up with exceptionally is the fact that he's been playing the engaged champions. All of a sudden, you throw Morgana into that, and then majority of Kaiser's champion pool is just straight up countered. And you can even see it from the side of Saigon. They're not really looking to ban away the engaged champions. They're taking away the facilitators in terms of enchanters that could be annoying to deal with. And then in the mid lane for Froggy, it's going to be the Vex. We saw Niski on it yesterday. He looked amazing. This time around, he's going to deal with it on the opposite side.
What does this do for the rest of the composition? As we see, Taki needs to lock in our top laner for Hazmed, leaving it, despite the fact Gnar was first rotations.
Are we looking for, like, with that time? I'm so curious to see what actually going to be the one that's going to contest the lane here, because I don't think there is anything that can contest the lane of a Caitlyn and Morgana that's currently up and available. I think that's why you see them go for the Tahm Kench. Could still look for a Senna if you want to. Very easy to lock down though, but of course the Tahm Kench would be there to gobble you up. But AD carry options, Felius out of the way, Draven out of the way. You don't have too many long range options at least. Saya could be a pivot, but that would be something we haven't seen in a while.
Let's find out in just a moment. Where do you think this Maokai is going as well? That could be top lane, that could be jungle. We'll find out in just a moment. It'll be the Jinx locked in for Unforgiven. So, for a little bit more scaling, get that reset, movement speed. Hecarim and Jinx run at you. The Saigon Buffalo 1 lost pick.
Yeah, actually Siva could have been a good pivot there as well, but Jinx as well with long range, something hyper carry to play for in the late game. So far, you don't have too much lockdown outside of the Maokai, but of course Tahm Kench is there to be that cleansing effect. If you lock in the Gwen, that's great for side lane pressure. That's still, of course, good in a team fight, but it doesn't really help with locking down the Jinx. So lack of engage, most of it has to come through from the all-in that we'll currently see with Saigon Buffalo. From inside of Mad Lions, you have all-in potential, but also disengage, of course, with the Tahm Kench. But one thing is for certain, it's going to be very bot-heavy focus from the side of Saigon in the early game.
Well, that's not a surprise. If there were a statement that you were to say, that would not catch me off guard. Saigon Buffalo playing around Shogun and Taki? No way. These are two players that this entire year have stolen the hearts and the laughter of everyone around the world. They did it in MSI and they've done it here at Worlds. They get down, they want to fight, and they want to scrap.
This is the broadcast where we make the bold statement.
That's it.
As you can tell.
That's what I
Coming out
like
here as
to
well.
see and hear.
I'll give you another one. Mad Lions. Usually it's about that mid jungle. I know, bold to assume,
Bold
but
statement.
I know. We'll have to come through.
Now the question is, how do Mad Lions handle their early game? I think throughout the course of the play-ins group stage, it is very fair to criticize and look at how Mad Lions approach their respective games. Definitely had some moments of weakness, definitely had some struggles. And I will say that when I locked in my Mad Lions pick on Pick'ems, 95% of you were along for the ride. 5% went for Saigon Buffalo. I don't know if that's a good omen or a bad one.
I'm part of those 5%.
The coin is.
The
Church
coin
of the
has
coin.
spoken. But either way, Mad Lions, it's been interesting to watch them play because at times it's like, okay, this is looking super solid. You're just definitely going to close this one out cleanly. And then slowly but surely, mistake starts to happen. And it's like uncharacteristic. It's like overstaying. And when you play against a team like Saigon Buffalo, he'll try and contest you at pretty much every given moment. If you get overconfident and take a team fight that you think you win, but you don't, well, that's the game flipped on its head.
Well, that's exactly how Mad Lions lost to DRX yesterday. Had a significant advantage, went for that Baron play. Did not work out for them.
And some dumbass dad in the bot lane.
That too. Now let's talk a little bit about this early game. Obviously, Alyoya's on that Hecarim, and when we take a look at BJ playing the Maokai, I think obviously a lot of contests to be anticipated. Shogun and Taki, we know they like to play aggro. They've got a 2v2 that will have some advantages in the early stages. Where else should we?
Too much from the get-go. If you take a look at the top lane, Gwen, of course, will be pushed in a little bit, but then after that, something to play for later when she picks up the first item. Mid lane as well, with Niski, if he's enabled on the map, same can be said for Froggy. They both have a facilitating playstyle, and the bot lane of Unforgiven and Kaiser are playing way more on the back foot, where Shogun and Taki, well, they're looking to be aggressive. And then after that, that's really just how they rotate the pressure around for the objectives.
Okay, well, let's see who gets that early advantage. And just before any action breaks out, Taki and Shogun standing inside the bush. Dark Binding, somewhat anticipated, easily sidestep by Unforgiven. I want to just talk about Unforgiven and Shogun for a brief moment, because in terms of the damage share for their respective teams, when I look at Mad, it's pretty split between the characters. 24.4% for Armor, 27.7% for Niski. Maybe higher than expected, but still looking good. And Unforgiven's at 25%. Now I want to contrast that very quickly. Froggy with a couple Galio games, 23% of his team's damage. Shogun, 30%. As far as damage is concerned, let's not forget that Froggy is playing a supportive role. Taki and Shogun this time round, they've been bullied backwards. Level 2 for Unforgiven and Kaiser, they take advantage of it immediately.
Yeah, great stuff from Unforgiven on Kaiser. Kaiser specifically, because as soon as the Dark Binding was down, he knew he could get aggressive despite being melee. Now, forced to flash though.
That was almost a straight line, that flash. I was about to yell at. Kaiser gets out by the skin of his teeth. Summon spells traded 2 for 1 on the side of Saigon Buffalo.
Yeah, so now lane goes back to the way it kind of was supposed to go. Mad Lions, they had a window where they almost got a kill on Taki, together with the CC chained up with the Flame Chompers. But after that, it is still Caitlyn Morgana. You get hit by one binding, you pretty much die, and even more so now that Kaiser doesn't have the heal available. Ilyoya has Path down here as well, so has BJ, potentially to secure his bot lane to get the crash in. Then you can get aggressive, see if you want to get a ward on enemy Raptors, get the intel. Ilyoya, though, has to be careful if they overcommit. It's a big wave they might be fighting into, and now seeing the Scryer's Bloom, they should have the intel.
Remember, there's no flash available for Taki's Morgana. Ilyoya steps forward, gets pinned out, immediately backs away. Top lane playing out exactly as expected. Gulborg, Armwood pushes in early. Hazmed, snip, 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 ghosts up, chases forward. Hyper proc for Armwood, 150 HP, continuing to get away. Underneath the tower, Hazmed stays just out of range, takes one shot, correction, and backs out. Armored, bold, holding on to that flash.
Oh, most certainly. I would have seen most people flash out of that situation. Armored, though, apparently knows the limit. Eyes filled, or rather veins filled with ice. Here comes that Raptor invade I talked about with the bot lane probably also have, but BJ...
Ooh, takes a tongue lick, lashing. but Niski and Ilyoya not going to chase. I like the idea of ice filled with veins. That's a much more gruesome visualization.
Yeah, well, we are getting close to October if you want to have some Halloween inspiration for that one.
That's it. Dress yourself up as an ice cube with some veins in it. I will say, I want to have a little bit of fun with this bottom lane duo because there's so many traps. Once Shogun starts putting a couple of points into that little snap trap, I want to look at Flame Chompers versus snap trap. I think there's a little mini game that can be played by both of these bot lanes to try and gain control. Before that, though, we're going to rock out on some Guitar Hero Hecarim, looking for a devastating charge into the back of Froggy.
Yeah, so it could potentially be forced to... Ooh! Flash. And BJ as well making his way down towards the bot lane. He can straight up just walk into the lane and force Unforgiven away, especially when he sees Ilyoya up here.
Devastating charges available. Froggy flashes over the wall. Ilyoya's going to be happy with that one. So, Hazmed able to push back Almond in the top lane. In the middle lane, Ilyoya replies. And in the bottom lane, there's a 10 CS difference already. A plate has been secured already. And I think the Caitlyn Morgana taking a lead in the early stages of the game, that's not going to surprise anybody.
No, I mean, the game plan, as always, with the Caitlyn Morgana is choke out your lane opponents, pick up plates for yourself, get the plates, move on to a different lane, move up to Herald, and then you keep rotating this Caitlyn around the board, and wherever she goes, you kind of just pick up the plating. That's the ideal situation with it.
Let's find out how well they move their players around the map. Taking a quick look throughout some of the early stats. I mean, for Saigon Buffalo, 60% of the games, they get first blood. When I look at Mad Lions, it's the same, actually. So, out of the respective 5 games. Right now, no kills secured. 600 gold advantage for Saigon Buffalo. Junglers level 4 apiece. Mid lane is getting close to level 6. So we've had a lot of trading. No kills secured. One thing I remember from cooldown yesterday, Mad Lions had nearly 3 times the amount of kills per game that we've seen from Saigon Buffalo. They've shown a little bit more temperament this time around as Ilyoya's making his way top.
Now, there's, of course, a few points of attack you can still go for here. Top lane, Hazmed had, now it's pushing in, had a slow push before earlier, and he did not have the Ghost, which of course could be a point of attack for Ilyoya. The second one is in the mid lane where Froggy no longer have the flash, so for Ilyoya, getting that level 6 would be crucial. Jumps in here though.
Alright, devastating charges unavailable, knocked back onto Hazmed. Remember, no Ghost, no flash, locked inside the minion wave. First blood! Mad Lions. Not done yet, though, as a target in the bottom lane for Kaiser. Summit BJ won't be able to do more, but that first kill claws it back, and it is secured by Ilyoya.
Yeah, and that's a big wave that Hazmed is going to be missing out on there. Armwood got the push, he got level 6 beforehand, and that allowed him to get in.
Oh, Niski's jumping forward, he's hijacked away that Shadow Surge, waiting to see if he pulls the trigger. Froggy's down below 50%, but under the tower. And immediately, Niski again hits that level, goes aggressive.
It's also just the fact that they don't have the intel right now where the BJ could be on the map. The vision's just not there to facilitate it. They're going to scout around now, see whatever vision they can get. But look at the map right here. Like, good credit to Saigon Buffaloes. 2 pink wards here, and Mad Lions haven't even spotted them yet.
And very important as well, Ilyoya as well as Niski mid-jungle. I know it's come to be expected from this team, but the first gank that successfully got the flash from Ilyoya was in the mid lane. We saw there a little bit of pressure. The Scuttle Crab was secured by Ilyoya. I believe that pink in the river's just been cleared out, and on the minimap, Ilyoya is doing the same thing now in the jungle. So both of those wards now cleared. Ilyoya are going to be very happy with that. Top side of the map going in favor of Mad, bottom side of the map going in favor of the Buffaloes.
Yeah, and I wonder how Mad Lions are going to be playing around with their timings now, because for the side of Saigon, they're just going to keep the pressure going on the bot side, but Mad Lions have kind of displayed they're not really looking to bail them out. They're looking to attack elsewhere. So I imagine as soon as Ilyoya get that level 6, they want to try and abuse the fact that Froggy's flash is still down. And if you can get a mid lane kill, then afterwards you can bridge the priority down towards bot side. BJ still looking. Ilyoya, level 6, advantage.
Ooh, Onslaught Shadows available. No Nature's Grasp. Fight for those rocks. Collect the rocks. BJ takes a couple rockets to the face. Unforgiven was low. There's no engage just yet. Froggy now getting jumped on, smacked by the chains. Here comes Ilyoya. No 6 for BJ, remember. Devastating charge into the wall. Onslaught Shadows causes the fear. Froggy's below 200. He's about to go down. The shield keeps him alive a few seconds longer. Not enough to save his life. Dragon has been enlisted to help out the Saigon Buffalo. And it's caught the snap trap. Holds Kaiser in place. Second kill, Mad Lions.
Yeah, really good pickup there, noting that Froggy is down in position where he can get pincered up. 2 over aggressive from Niski afterwards, walking over, or rather flashing over the wall. Unforgiven was not in a position to follow up, so man advantage was in favor of Saigon. But either way, you take those kills and you get out.
Very nicely done. Armor once again under some threat. Flashes available to him. Needlework and snip, snip, snip from Hazmed. He's dropped the Ghost, flashed away from Armored, now below 200. Underneath the tower, and Hazmed will once again fail to complete the kill. Armored's up 15 CS and stepping back into the well.
Yeah, but definitely not clean for Mahmoud either, missing the boomerang in that exchange, trying to get up the Nabar just so he can survive a potential dive, but once again, bot lane still under attack. Cleanse forced to come out from Unforgiven too.
Oh, look at the Flame Chompers up in the top lane. Hazmed now trying to trade back and forth. The boulder toss, the auto! Armlet! He turned that around, adding Pink Gnar to his champion pool. In the bottom lane, nobody able to secure that kill. That was an impressive turnaround from Armlet.
Yeah, and it's good tempo in the communications as well, especially when you consider the bot lane must be like, we need help, guys, we need help. But then Armwood out of nowhere gets the solo kill through, boots the kind of mood and morale as well on the top side, knowing that you still have other things to play for. And now with Herald having spawned up on the map, with a mid lane with an advantage, with a top lane with an advantage, with a jungler that's suddenly 2-0, you should be looking to push the bot lane in, move your support up, and look for a Herald play.
It's going to be up to Shogun to really make use of this advantage. He's up 20 CS, he's secured 3 plates already. And that's why Saigon Buffalo are only down 500 gold, despite being down 3 kills. Rift Herald is secured here by Mad Lions again. And this, the Scuttle Crab, correction, has been secured there by Mad Lions. So they can use that vision, use that play. Rift Herald now starting up. No contest, so this should be secured as well.
Yeah, but the cross map on the side of Saigon Buffalo should just be like, well, they're using so many members on the top side. We can take the first turret for free on the bot side instead. So Mad Lions, they need to acknowledge that this is probably what's going to happen. And then they have a counter response, which can be, well, we'll use the Rift Hell on the top side on the mid lane afterwards. But you can already see it on the map. Like vultures, Saigon Buffalo are just scavenging towards the bot side.
Oh man, whenever there's prey left in the fields of the savannah from Lions, the vultures do come to pick at it. But I will say, the fact that Mad Lions were able to secure the Herald, I don't want to defend the fact that this tower's under pressure. Of course it is. BJ spent a lot of time. Shogun is now under threat. Nature's Grass comes up. Flame Chompers locks down the tree. Alyoya's got the Shadows of Onslaught available. Niski's also hijacked himself. That do, they pull the trigger. The trees are rolling. Nihan trees flying forward. 1, 2 players rooted. The Mad Lions will not chase further. They've defended the tower. They secured the Herald. There's a possibility they could even look for Dragon if those recalls complete. Not going to go for it right now.
No, but they can look to extend the tempo as well. They know that they're going to be in reset time, as they know Froggy's still towards the bot side. So if you wanted to use the Rift Herald, there was potential for it to get free platings.
Well, that gold lead still only 300. Very important to note that Shogun's Caitlyn has picked up the Kraken Slayer. He is still plus 20 odd CS over his opposite number. And you can look at the gold. Armut and Alyoya leading the charge, then Niski, somewhat to expectation. And this is where, if you are a fan of the Buffaloes, you got to keep an eye on Shogun's positioning. Nar's going to be jumping from, Hecarim's going to be flying for him. If Niski's able to get past that front line, he'll do the same. Right now he's roaming top.
Niski barely any mana. BJ still towards the bottom side. So when they show all these members on the top side, the rest of the members on Saigon Buffalo, they're just going to handshake it and they're going to move immediately down to bot side.
I mean, Gulpok, this is huge for Mad Lions. They defended that bottom tower push from Buffalo. They got the Herald. They've used it to secure tower. They've accelerated Armut even further ahead. He's 2,000 gold ahead of Quinn. Look at your screens. 2,000 gold is crazy at this stage of the game.
I'll be honest with you, he was definitely not the member I expected to show up today in the first game, and it was close as well. He was on a knife edge on some of the kills he picked up. But the fact of the matter is that he did, and he's actually been looking really good on that Gnar on the top side.
Armut may not be getting Gnar for many more games this series. That was what one would assume. He still has that Aatrox available to him. We've seen that played out. Hazmed's Gwen so far been unable to press the advantage. But let's not forget how difficult that Gwen can be in the late stage of the game. And yes, there's a gigantic gap in the top half of the map for Mad Lions, but it is somewhat mirrored on the bottom half.
Yeah.
So that means Saigon, they have to utilize Shogun and Taki, the advantage they've accrued to some degree, to try and slow things down. But you cannot be out of position, otherwise that Hecarim Gnar will jump on you.
Yeah, and I mean, 1k gold lead barely matters. You are ahead, but it's still not far enough ahead to the point where you can make mistakes in a team fight and the enemies can't capitalize. So from the side of Saigon, once again, they break open the bot lane with this Caitlyn. Now they're going to move her around the map to see what else they can get, because she is the spear in this composition.
And BJ is now looking to shut down Pink and Armut. His flash is on cooldown, if I'm reading that correctly. Starting to back out, got that hyper proc. On the mini-map, multiple members of Saigon are pushing through the middle lane.
Ahmed's alone here, but he's bluffing. He's saying, I'm going to pretend like I have someone in the back end of my pocket here, because walking up there should have been straight up just a kill for them.
He's got the Trinity Force completed, the Merc Treads as well. It's thrift store shopping for Hazmed and BJ, and he was about to ping on Meganar here. Level 10 to level 10. Froggy's making his way up. Actually, so many Buffaloes are. The herd is arriving, and the Predator has become the prey. Ahmed gets needled work down. He's chucked out the boulders, walloping and crunching, and the first kill for Buffalo secured onto Ahmed.
Yeah, and Ahmed finally gets punished. Way too overextended there. Believes he's going to get out of the situation a bit more scot-free. That was not the case. Could have procced the last hyper as well with the W to get some more movement speed, but decided to use the ultimate. In turn, though, he is pretty much on a solo mission. They're going to be losing some damage on the bot side turret, but turret damage will be traded on the top side as well. So once again, don't really see the idea of being so overextended.
Yeah, right now the pressure in the mid lane was captured by Mad Lions. They pushed it back out. You can see Shogun currently defending. Tower traded, maybe. There's no one here to defend, so if Niski sticks around, he can secure it. And in contrast to the first game that we saw between these two teams, this has been a little bit cleaner from both respective teams. But because of the power differential between the top and the bottom half of the map, this goal difference, again, stays steady at 1,000 as we crest the 15-minute mark. 2 towers apiece, second dragon spawning in 2 minutes. So, Goldberg, let's keep our eyes on vision setup, and if either of these teams is going to make a play to secure that.
And I actually really like for Mad Lions that the game is so slow for them, because I think one of the weaknesses that Mad has, well, it's clearly also a strength. This is a team that really wants to be proactive. They want to be the team that makes the play. They want to be the team that dictate the pace of the early game. The problem for them is when they meet a team that want to dictate the pace just as much as they do, they try to one-up them. They try to play faster. And when they try to play faster, it gets messy. So just stylistically speaking, I always thought that the VCS would be difficult for Mad because they play a very kill-heavy game. But this time around, it's been very slow, and it's allowed Mad Lions to just play that game.
Shogun and Taki have been putting the tower pressure on. BJ hasn't been able to set up the kills just yet, and Hazmed's tried. He's tried to kill Ahmed, but didn't work out. I do want to draw everyone's attention again briefly to your itemization. Shogun's got that rapid-fire cannon completed. Just a moment ago, Unforgiven finished his Kraken Slayer, and this could be a 4v4 as 2 members of Mad Lions flanking each side of the Buffalo. Alyoya's coming in from behind. Gulbo, do you reckon he goes for the engage?
Oh, you can certainly look for it right here. They're going to get Pinsett. Ahmed almost Mecha.
Meganar. The trap is available. Mad Lions, do they pull the trigger? Holding onto it for now. Nature's Grasp was hijacked away. Both of these teams showing a level of restraint that is frankly shocking to me at this point in time.
Yeah, but they also just still have the setup. You can see here Riftail has been started out. Ahmed is still on the back end of that if he wants to flank. No flash available, but Psycho and Buffalo, what are you committing to a place here?
We're going to find out. Riftail's just about to get secured. The hijacked Nature's Grasp is thrown down. BJ's locked in place. He fires out one of his own and everybody lines up. Meganar will whiff, and the unstoppable onslaught will at least slow people down. Rocket after rocket. Unforgiven's looking to get excited. Zap won't find its target. The Boomerang does, and Mad Lions, they get the Herald, they get a kill, and they get out.
Yeah, and Drake spawns up in 20 seconds as well. You can go for reset timers here and be ready to contest the next objective. Is that what you're looking for? Sylas ultimate has a really low cooldown. You can't take the Maokai ultimate, but you can still look for the Morgana instead. And Saigon, they just become so split. 2 members are trying to deal with Ahmed on the back end. Only 1 member can get the Black Shield. So as BJ's just kind of stand there to get a taste of his own medicine, well, that Sap Magic doesn't really taste as good as he thought it was going to do as he just gets taken down.
Man, for Mad Lions, such a controlled passage of play the last few minutes. Very, very happy faces.
Mediocrely happy. I've seen happier.
I mean, Mac is quietly confident. When you look at his face long enough, that little smile is controlled. It's also game 1 in the best of 5. But the way it feels to me right now, Gilborg, do you have an older brother? No?
I am the older brother.
Fantastic. So, when you look at your younger siblings, you put your hand on their forehead and say, why? Try to reach me. Their arms are too short. They can't swing. That's what it feels like Mad Lions have done. They fended off the aggression of Shogun and Taki. They're still 0-0-0.
I'm going to stop you there. My little brother is taller than me.
But you get the idea.
I understand the idea. Yeah,
That's
sorry.
what
Yeah,
I wanted to
yeah,
hear.
there you have it.
And right now, Mad Lions, they pick up the second dragon of the game. We're playing for an Ocean Salt on the Ocean Rift. That's now updated. That gold lead still very close, 2,000. But I think it's crucial where the difference is in who has the advantage. It's the engage options for Mad, which in theory, in my head, makes their team fighting just a little bit easier to kick off to start. They've got that small advantage.
It's also just the longer the game goes in terms of if Unforgiven gets a reset, he's going to have way more value as an AD carry that Shogun's actually going to have. Shogun likes to play around rotations as a Caitlyn. In terms of your cooldown, in terms of fighting the headshot. It's the reason why you also buy rapid fire cannon so often on the Caitlyn. You want to outrange, you want to get some damage through, and then you wait it up again and find the poke. She's really good in siege situations where she's the one that gets to set up the objective first. Problem is for Saigon, they've not been in a situation where they actually were the one to set up for the objective themselves.
And I think the Flame Chompers as an answer to that Caitlyn setup as well, both sides having a fair amount of zone control. The fact that Nature's Grass can be hijacked as well, steal that away when Meganar's up, definitely has an influence. So like positioning around these fights that are to come will be so important. Second item we just saw picked up a moment ago for Armut. He's got himself that wit's end. So definitely wanting to stand toe-to-toe. He's got that advantage over Gwen. Keep Gwen down for as long as you can. Deny one of those keys to victory here for Saigon in terms of activating Hazmid on the side.
Oh yeah, and I think as Saigon, you don't have to be too nervous. This is the point in the game where Matt Lyons usually start to show cracks in their gameplay. Really have not been as clean as they wanted to in terms of closing out games. So you can already see they still have decent good vision control from Saigon. You also have the saplings to play around with. You don't have to overreach anything. It's not like you're on timer with the Soul. Even then, the Drake, individual Drakes, are going to be Ocean. They don't matter very much in the mid game as an individual Drake. More like really good for laning phases if you get the first one.
Now, of course, for the Mad Lions, and a little bit of hopium on my side.
Oh, yeah?
This is a little bit more of what I think we saw yesterday against DRX in terms of the level of control.
And how did that go?
In comparison to the previous 4 games. So, for the first 20 minutes, if you look at the 6 games that Mad Lions have now played, this is on the back end of their group stage. Starting strong, starting clean. A 5-man stack here from the Mad Lions, plus the Rift Herald. Teleport is being channeled, and Hazmid's making his way. He's held on to that cooldown. Once again, that hijack Maokai ult is thrown down. Niski needs to be careful of the snap trap. Sidesteps it. Alyoya's devastating charge is lined up. And just the threat alone, the zone control, allows Mad to pick up that tower with the use of the return.
I mean, the Maokai ultimate is so broken.
Yes.
The problem that Saigon is facing right now is that it's more broken on Niski than it is on BJ. Black Shield can only get utilized on one person. This time around, it was BJ who got the Black Shield. Who did that leave anyone out to dry? Shogun, forced to cleanse away. BJ, then again, getting picked apart by the rest of the CC following up. Mad Lions barely have to do anything. And you just wait till that Maokai ultimate is available for you.
And Gulborg, if everybody lines up, one in a line straight behind a target so they don't get rooted, well, then you're a fantastic target for a Nara or Hecarim. So there's a lot of great synergies in the engaged tool.
But also just the way that it's actually sent out here by Niski, because exactly as to what you say right here, if they all stand against the wall there, they're going to get absolutely demolished afterwards. It's such a good angle to just zone people down away from the turret.
Very elegantly done. This will extend Mad Lions' gold lead to something that's, I think, more meaningful. 3,000 gold at the 21-minute mark. They've got 3 towers to 2. More importantly, the flow of the game has been dictated by Mad Lions. It's Alyoya's ganks and movement around the map, plus Armut's ability to fend off Hazmed in the early game that truly has allowed them to get to this point. And that Jinx, despite still being down 30 CS, has got the second item completed, is now moving into the phase of the game where you start to prefer Jinx in these next 10-15 minutes than you do a Caitlyn.
Oh yeah, 100%. Oh, I mean, I already prefer it now. Even with an item behind, I'm not going to lie to you, just because of what's built around it. The fact that even if they get the great pickup from Saigon Buffalo, if they get on towards Unforgiven, well, Kaiser's just going to be there to gobble him up immediately.
Okay, so Gulborg, let's turn our perspective to that of the Saigon Buffalo. They have been pushed around, but they have managed to pick up cross maps. They have managed to pick up a kill of their own. How do they claw back control from Mad Lions?
Well, it's once again about finding these pickup and vision pockets. You can even see it now. Mad Lions, they're playing a 1-3-1. Usually we don't see teams try to go for this too much because there is the risk that you'll get picked apart. And that risk is, of course, in the mid lane as well here, where you can see 4 members against the 3. Niski, now after having pushed in bot lane, would then move into the mid lane. But as Armut is pushing up the top side, they'll have to respond to the pressure at some point from Saigon Buffalo. And you have to wait as Mad Lion. You cannot go forward in the mid lane before someone stops Armut. And if they don't, that's great. You just get a turret for yourself.
I mean, where Buffalo's hunting there, it looked to me like they were trying to set up a death bush. No response top, so Armut keeps pushing. Exposed inhibitor, there's nobody back there, so the tower's dropping before this dragon will even drop. Mad Lions will steal the red buff away, and now that is an open inhibitor for Mad Lions.
And just like I said with Mad Lions, that, you know, Saigon Buffalo don't have to be worried about them picking up the Drakes because it's not going to do too much. Well, it's the exact same thing. This Ocean Drake isolated in terms of playing against the composition of Mad Lions right now, it's useless. It doesn't do anything. So Mad Lions, they'll happily get 2 turrets for themselves, open up a pathway to the topside inhibitor, and get control around the Baron area. Starting up the Baron here might be a little over-aggressive, but so far it's working out for them, and Saigon, they're not actually checking.
There's no movement yet. Taki finally stepping forward. Stepping will reveal 4,000, 3,000, 2,000. Dark Binding's not going to be enough, and Mad Lions just sneak away the Baron. They manage to expose the inhibitor top. They extend the gold lead to 6,000. And this is a Mad Lions performance we have not yet seen. Crucially, though, we are still in that phase of the game where some bold calls have been made that have been punished by Mad, so they still have to play at this level of control to close out game 1.
Yeah, but let's be real. This game has been so clean for Mad Lions. Like, unbelievably clean to the point where it just looks like at them demolishing Saigon right now. Going forward, they shouldn't have to worry here. Like, just don't overextend anything. Armut's going to go back to what he did just before. He's going to push in the bot side. If Saigon want to continue to see if anyone ever bites in the mid lane, well, Mad Lions are just not going to bite. They're not going to walk forward, and they get objectives to 3. This is just like, there's no point of attack for Saigon. All they're left to do is just watch everything around them crumble at the moment.
Especially with that Baron-empowered minions. Is going to jump forward, hit the BJ Maokai into the wall. Alyoya, Onslaught of Shadows, 3 targets available. He's holding on to it. Again, tempered aggression just as I start ramping up the hype. Mad Lions, they're playing the map. Look in the middle lane. Niski is escorting those minions forward. Focus Saigon Buffalo down, chunk them out, take the objectives. You win the game through killing the Nexus. You don't need to over-chase for fights, and this is what's happening. 2 more towers, Goldborg.
Yeah, and even then, Froggy forced to use the flash with Armut just jumping forward. He's really feeling himself in this series, and they're going to continue. Bot lane wave will collapse, mid lane wave coming up through. Ilyoya's going to back up Niski as well at the same time, and once again, Saigon, they're just watching everything around them crumble.
Armut's about to go Mega Knot once more, gets the knockback. There's the chase in from Shadow Surge, but there's simply not enough follow-up, not enough damage. Tower is secured in the middle lane, 7-3. And I think right at the beginning of this game, Goldborg, you talked about how Mad Lions have shown a tendency to initiate, to go forward, to try to accelerate the pace. This is calm and controlled aggression. Maybe aware and realizing, don't get down into the level of Saigon Buffalo. Don't fight them at their game, because they might just be better at it.
This is a team that really wants to add a 1 best of 5 to their resume, at least coming out from this first game that we see. They're not taking any chances, as you're saying. And you're laughing, but I mean, it's true no, from the way that they're playing.
True. It is 100% true. It's just, I love the fact that Law spoke to Mac about it just before the interview. And you heard Mac say, yeah, we had like a 2-3 BO5. It's not that bad. Those words tell you a lot between the lines of how he's feeling. But this is a statement opening game. Mad Lions still need to pick up 3 to advance to face down Evil Geniuses tomorrow. That final spot in the group stage. As it stands, they also need to knock over the Nexus. But it's minute 50 until Dragon. 10 seconds before the Red Bull Baron power play times out, plus 2,500 gold. But more important is just the way that they are moving around the map, the way that Armut and Alyoya, I think, are combining on the initiation, but backed up by Niski has been great. Kaiser will use that Devour, will just get rooted up. Shadow Surge forward. Kaiser's going low. The Abyssal Dive, not enough. Takes him out. Onslaught Charge has been used. Teleport forward. Niski has stolen the grass. 2 members stunned by Niski once. More armor rather against the wall. Now Alyoya's taken out. Hasmid's got himself a kill. They've done forgiven damage and the resets. Get excited, but it's simply not enough. Shogun stays alive until he's facing down Armut. And Niski, 1 member remaining. And the Saigon Buffaloes are about to get aced. Mad Lions win the fight, but that looked close.
That looks so close. I just thought the Mad Lions were about to turn it around, but Niski shows off huge, comes in with a teleport, finds himself a triple kill. Still a wave to push on the bot side if he wants to open up that inhibitor turret. So despite this looking so good for Saigon Buffalo, they still don't manage to close out the deal. Fortunately for them though, this is probably not going to be the end of the game, and they pick up some crucial gold in terms of getting that Caitlyn to the 4-item power spike.
Right now the inhibitor's just about to fall, rooting BJ down in place, stepping forward to the Kingslayer and chucking those chains out. Taki's socks, shackles has been hijacked away, rooted up under the tower. Niski continues to push forward. That is heals! Keep him alive, but not long enough. It's a 2-for-1 as Armut will look for the second inhibitor as well. They're not going to find it just yet. The minions will be feared up. A couple more autos. Armit's thinking about it, looking for it, and will back away.
Yeah, and just before that, Nisqy was 0-0-3 on this Silas. This time around, though, after just that 2-minute skirmish, he's 4-1-4, suddenly feeling himself, wanting some action in this game.
All right, there we go. With some backup from Kaizen Alyoya. Second inhibitor, third inhibitor correction will fall. Top lane was taken down. Double supers will start pouring into Saigon Buffalo's base. Now, in my head, if you're in the Buffalo camp, you start thinking a little bit about this next game. It is going to be so incredibly difficult to come back. Saigon Buffalo will have side selection, and it is a long BO5.
I will give you one win condition, and that is when Caitlyn reached those 4 items. Like, you got the Lord Dominic's Regard. You will pick up an Infinity Edge. You will have crits and some armor damage to actually shred through these carries and front lines that you have from the side of Mad Lions. The big problem that Shogun is facing is that his front line gets blown up before he gets to play the game all the time. But if they can find a fight like they did before, where one member will extend and they get the tempo first to make it a 4 versus 5, that could be what they're looking for.
You need to hit a couple times though, because that gold lead is now 7,000. They've got so many supers to deal with. So if Mad Lions use the mini-map to their advantage, they can look to set up another Baron. Baron-empowered double supers could be all they need to finish the game, but Baron could also be what Saigon Buffalo need to stall this out and claw back the deficit. That spawns in 10 seconds. Mad Lions just picked up their second dragon. And I think I want to give some credit again to just how the map has been played, how Mad have moved around their resources.
Yeah, I'll give you one point where they can actually find a way to win this game, and that if Mad Lions Alyoya get too over-aggressive. Because Alyoya currently does not have any armor whatsoever. So this Caitlyn is actually going to hurt like a truck against him if he overextends.
I mean, right now, Saigon Buffalo, they were looking for their engage. Pop down the movement speed from Taki. Weren't able to find the target. Bottom lane has got supers inside the base. So does the top. And as soon as they cross the steps, Mad Lions back away. There is no way for the Buffaloes to contest or challenge this. They will be far too late. So it'll be second Baron for Mad Lions at 30 minutes. Now they just got to play it slow and steady. If they get caught out of those choke points, maybe there's a way there for Saigon, but they're looking for a small misstep, looking for that numbers advantage, just like what I was talking about.
Yeah, but this is where it's
so
you won't find it now, because the map is not going to be open for you. There's 2 double super minions coming through from every single lane. Baroned up super minions at the same time. You have to look for a miracle. BJ has to find some sort of flash engage on a target that's going to be available to him. But once again, the thorn in the side there will be the Tam Kench, which is a really intelligent pickup against this team composition.
Let's follow Nisqy, see what he will steal away from Saigon Buffalo. If BJ steps all the way forward, I mean, that's Soul Shackles. Nature's Grasp has been used exquisitely. Once again, available. Nisqy looking to set up the angle as Armut is just using all of his kit in Mininar to take down Hazmed. He's forced away. Nature's Grasp goes out. Nexus turret, number 1 will drop. They're traded back and forth. Nisqy's cooldown on his ultimate, 50%. Will be able to hijack yet another. Boulder Toss tags out Buffalo, and Buffalo are trying to defend, but they are being overwhelmed.
Yeah, they most certainly are. You can even see it ultimate's getting thrown up, but nothing's connected from the side of Mad Lions, though. They're getting the play in now. Desperation.
Hazmed is going all the way forward with their Hallowed Mist. Kaiser forced to flash to safety. That's a 1-for-2 trade. No Gwen, no Vex, no Maokai. Saigon Buffaloes are being eaten alive inside their base, and the Mad Lions will strike first in this best of 5.
It was a slow game this time around, but my God, was it clean from Mad Lions? And a new look to them, I'd say, in terms of how it was actually played out. Only they did look messy in the mid lane, where the teleports came through from both teams, and one member got caught off guard. But even then, they still won the team fight. So, looking good in the first game.
I think the level of control demonstrated, both from the advantage early, and I think crucially the fact that Armut was able to fend off Hazmed, I think are 2 of the big things for me.
Oh, yeah.
Had Armut gone down, had that Gwen had the side pressure in addition to the CS advantage of Caitlyn, this game would have looked completely different.
Yeah, because then you're losing on the bot side and you're losing on the top side, and it's so difficult to find any leverage back into it. So, yeah, I guess huge credit to Armut from laning phase.
Does he get Gnar again? Does he get what?
I think he will. I think he will. Like, I genuinely don't think Gnar is that scary of a champion that you throw it in the first 3 ban phase. And the fact was, it was so close to go either way. Like, if I'm Hazmed here, I'm saying I almost had him. Almost had him.
Can Hazmed do it in game 2? We'll find out. Mad Lions taking game 1 and the lead in the series. We're heading over to the State Farm Analyst Desk.
Thank you so much. Quick shot. Our first game in our featured matchup presented by Mercedes-Benz goes the way of the Mad Lions. I heard Goldberg say it Kind of a slow-paced game.
Yeah.
Didn't really feel like there was any, I hesitate to say this, but no major climactic moment. It almost felt a little bit like a walk in the park for Mad Lions from start to finish.
This was it. This was the climactic moment.
I mean, you're not wrong, right? Okay, let's start with this, because one of the things we had talked about in compositions when it came to these two teams was how Mad had looked so good with the trio of Nar, Hecarim, Seraphine. Saigon Buffaloes, I know that says Dead FM. Saigon Buffaloes, though, they identified at least the Seraphine aspect of that trio as the thing that they wanted to remove.
Yes, that was fine, but I take huge issue with the rest of the draft. So the last time that I broke down a Caitlyn draft, it was where there was like a triple melee topside, like a Sejuani Fiora thing.
Right.
And then they had a Caitlyn, and I said that was like a peanut butter and bacon sandwich.
Right. And remind me which part's the peanut butter and which part's the bacon?
Peanut butter's bot lane. Caitlyn's peanut butter.
Got it. Okay.
It'll go with most things. Like it's a good sandwich ingredient. But those two things were a little incongruent. Now, Caitlyn Morgana's fine. Still peanut butter. The top side of Gwen, Vex, Maokai, that's expired sardines. It goes with nothing.
Oh, we yeeted the bacon out of the sandwich.
Yes, those three cannot go on anything.
We wanted a salt substitute.
You have 3 AP champions on your entire top side and a Caitlyn who needs to get individual farm. So everyone on the top side of Mad can build Verdant Barrier, Hex Drinker, Mercury Treads, Force of Nature, Wit's End. They just go to town and they make the game actually unplayable. So those triple AP is equivalent of expired sardines on a sandwich. You cannot do this in a professional game.
Yeah, I feel like if they just change their solo lane picks, maybe Camille on top side, any kind of control mage in mid, and I feel like this composition works out because, I mean, heck, the casters were saying perfectly, like, maybe it could have gone differently had, like, the Gwen found an advantage, but the Gwen started to get so far behind. Sure, the Caitlyn is ahead, but once we get into these skirmishes, if the Caitlyn can't really just set up to be that artillery piece around the map, I mean, there's no way they're going to ever be able to take 5v5s.
Yeah, and I do want to just take a moment to highlight the fact that, like, we saw leads built on opposite sides of the map for these teams, as you talk about, Jad. Like, that Caitlyn Morgana duo in the bot lane is very strong, can be oppressive by taking turret plates and building CS advantages. But on the top side, a little bit of attention paid to Armit's lane by Elyoya in the Nar versus Gwen matchup. They get a couple of those early kills, and it sets the front line off here on the side of Mad to a pace that just can't be out-damaged in terms of their defensive items.
Yeah, it really did. And I don't think Mad was ever stressed during this game. I liked some of the shots of the coach cam, even when the gold was like 1,000 away. Mac was just very confidently sitting in his chair like, yeah, I know what's going to happen. When the other team only has 1 physical damage dealer and everyone else is magic damage. So really clean game by Mad, and I don't expect to have the other games be this subdued. I think part of it was just because of the way the team comps matched up to make it a slower game, and I think we'll see a much different look for the rest of the season.
And Lyric, that's interesting because we heard Goldberg talking about it a little bit about how these teams stylistically match up, and that he actually believed that it's not a great stylistic matchup for Mad if Saigon plays to kind of their normal pace and really pushes it. But they did have a slow start here and let Mad control it.
We heard Goldberg saying in draft 2, expecting things like the Callista to come out, and that's why I actually don't feel like Saigon Buffalo need things like the Caitlyn to dominate in the bot lane. They could, they could do that with numerous champions. Those guys have just been insane. So I kind of expect them to maybe lean away from these types of champions. That, again, Caitlyn does kind of warp the game around her. Just believe in the 2v2 prowess that you already have.
And so, Jad, this is perfect because I'd love to bring back something that we didn't actually have a chance to get to in the pregame in talking about this series. The bot lane matchup of the AD carries in Shogun versus Unforgiven. Both of these teams would be happy to funnel gold into either of these players with their carry potential. But this time around, it was clearly Saigon that wanted more of an advantage in the bot lane.
And these stats you're seeing right now are strictly from the play-in group stage. It's not including the game we just saw, but Shogun is clearly the top performer for Saigon Buffalo, being first or second in most stats, and then Unforgiven being 7th to 6th in a lot of his stats. This was obviously the game we just saw, where still a large portion of the lifting was done by Shogun. 38% of the damage, 1/3 of the team's kills. The game just didn't go that well, but I still expect that this matchup is where Saigon should look to get the majority of their advantages.
Okay. So, yeah, I mean, you like to see those numbers then on the side of Shogun if this is the way that we want to continue to see them play. There could maybe be some arguments, though, about, the fact that, with an entirely AP side of the map, you're forcing him into a situation where he has to put up 40%, damage share, and if he doesn't, then it's unwinnable.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, they've been comfortable, maybe not with the 4 AP, but, I mean, we've had Zach mid twice, right? They are clearly very very confident in putting everything onto Shogun's plate and knowing he'll deliver.
Whoa, what do you make of this? Saigon Buffalo electing to stay on red side. Now, just given, I mean, historically, League of Legends, blue side favored.
Yeah.
At least in the LCS, blue side incredibly favored throughout the year this year. I couldn't speak to all of the regions. But even within the group stage, it felt like the majority of teams in those best of ones who had the coin flip and side select would jump to blue. So this is kind of an interesting pick from my perspective.
Maybe the thought process is, you know, wanting to get the counter picks for soul lanes, right? Because when we're hyping up their bot lane being completely fine on their own, you're on red side, you could probably get that 1-2 of the Maokai that you like, and then try and get the counter picks for Froggy and Hasmed, who we saw are kind of the ones that either with draft or with laning, they kind of need to band-aid to get through this matchup.
I mean, given the fact that we just played out a draft with both teams on these respective sides, what would be the thing? Let's pretend Mad tries to recreate the same draft. Where would the departure be for Saigon? In which pick or which role would you make that swap? Would it be top? Would it be mid?
If we still have it, I'd love to have the pick order pulled up again because I don't have the bands memorized.
Gotcha.
But I know that Silas was first picked. And then I believe the 1-2 by Saigon Buffalo was Caitlyn and Maokai. But would there be a tweak in the bans? If anything, I wonder if Saigon is going to leave Aatrox up and then dare Mad to first pick it, because that could leave over a Silas. It could also mean they're maybe fine matching Gnar with Aatrox. Then they can still run like a Maokai jungle, an AP mid with another Caitlyn if they want to. I think
like
if anything,
Camille as well. Still,
if anything, I think the Aatrox would stay up and they'd dare Mad to first pick it. That would be the one tweak I'd make if I was Saigon Buffalo.
All right, some thoughts for us on the side of Saigon Buffalo. After their games yesterday, we got a chance to catch up with Elyoya about his experience at Worlds so far and his perspective on the series versus Saigon Buffalo. Check it out.
I think even though we were ahead, they still had many win conditions because their combo in late game was much better. They did well playing with the vision. I think they at any point did give us like a free Nashor or a free objective. So yeah, I think they just did a good job of not giving us free vision for the Nashor. So I think Velvet, you wanna look also for early action. This champion is really strong in early game, and you wanna snowball the game as fast as you can. I think if you can get ahead with this champion, it's really annoying to deal against.
20 seconds longer, gets stunned up, kites away, the fear lands, and is here!
I'm pretty confident coming into this match. I mean, I just hope it's a bloodbath. I just hope there is much fun for everyone watching. I really want to say thank you because so far this experience has been amazing. And a big part of it has been knowing the people that support me and just being supported by so many people. So thank you so much for everything.
He said he hopes it's a bloodbath. I'm kind of hoping Game 2 is a little bit more of a bloodbath than Game 1 was.
It will be.
I mean, again, you're a Mad Lions fan. You're very happy with the way that Game 1 played out because they didn't do anything more than necessary, right? They kind of just played exactly to the way they needed to in order to get a clean win.
They didn't need to show any picks. They didn't need to do any crazy shenanigans in regards to like crazy jungle paths or anything along those lines. So I feel like Mad Lions are feeling incredibly happy about how this one went. And I just also love that Elyoya wants the bloodbath, and that's what these VCS teams are known for.
I guarantee you this, if you were to pick the Belveth, there would probably be a little bit more of a bloodbath than, let's say, the Hecarim this time around.
He was over 100 CS up on the Belveth and then lost the game. So it's going to be a tricky one to come back for because it's like, I did everything I possibly could. Maybe a better teamfight champion.
Definitely. Well, we have a lot of questions about how Saigon Buffalo is going to change their strategy, sticking to the red side, which indicates to me they feel like they have the answer. Now, check out Saigon Buffalo's pick, Take Over, featuring Jeremy McKinnon, Henry, and Max, as the song that represents their playstyle on the official LOL playlist on Spotify. Take a listen, and we'll see you back here for game number 2 right after the break.
We at the top again, I would be lay the crown, but count us higher than a mountain. And we be up here for the long run, strap in for a long one. We got everybody on one. Now you coming at the king, so you better not miss. And we only get stronger with everything I carry up on my back.
Con Mercado Pago tienes todo más fácil para tu negocio y sientes la lana en tus manos. Mercado Pago es ahora.
Send you back home, let you wake up. Why would you dare me to do it again? Come and get your sport out the head. We're taking over. We're taking over. Hey, look at you calling my name. You ought to know by now that we're taking over. We're taking over. Hey, maybe you wonder what your future's gonna be, but I got it all locked up. 在以后，除了是傻子，还有其他吗？我左右，键盘琵琶在时间滴答着，还不够。你的固执让我来守候，哪怕太迟也不想以后。就在这时放肆的打斗。I got the heart of a lion, I know the harder you climb, the harder you fall. I'm at the top of the mountain, too many bodies to count. I've been through it all. I had to weather the storm to get to the level I'm on. That's how the legend was born. All of my enemies already dead. I'm bored, I'm ready for war. They know I'm ready for war. I told them we're taking over. We're taking over. Hey, look at you calling my name. You ought to know by now that we're taking over. We're taking over. Hey, maybe you wonder what your future's.
Behind 21 epic days of epicness. Behind 1 billion hours of drop joys. Behind every match, every broadcast, every moment at League of Legends World Championship 2022 is the network capable of making it all happen. The Cisco Network, aka The Realm. Cisco, powering the future of esports.
I wanna see the world now, baby, let's go. It's nothing but green lights ready to roll. Only you, yellow, I'm what I want. Only you, yellow, I'm what I want. You got me feeling so free. Got me feeling so free.
Welcome back to the 5th day of epicness from Worlds 2022. Mad Lions are up 1-0 in the series. Saigon Buffalo had side selection. They elected to stay on red side. So I'm going to come to you, Goborg, and say, let's start this game focusing on what, first of all, Saigon Buffalo do to adapt to the draft. And secondly, how they adapt in game, because there were moments that looked good at the beginning, but frankly, they weren't able to get a foothold against Mad Lions.
Yeah, and I actually think one of the things that really messed them up was going by the Gwen as well. I think they needed more solid engage as well to move that Caitlyn around and have any answer in team fights. You can easily see it that it was only the Maokai who could really start something, but Mad Lions had the same thing to play around with. So it wouldn't actually surprise me that because the Silas was able to take away so many tools, that was going to help Saigon, but ended up helping Mad Lions, that I see the Silas just be banned this time around again.
Now, for Saigon Buffalo, just a reminder, if you have missed some of the games already, this is the youngest roster at Worlds 2022. The average age is 19. Many viewers will remember Saigon Buffalo from MSI, and they are in a do-or-die best of series. If they lose today, they are eliminated. Their Worlds run ends at knockouts, and they're down 1-0. So I really want to see where the draft comes. The analyst desk was talking extensively about the AP top side of the map. You've also talked about the lack of engage. Despite the fact Shogun generated an advantage, I also think some credit to Unforgiven and Kaiser. They did play weak side. They did concede a lot. They lost their tower, don't get me wrong, but they didn't concede more. And I know that's a kind of a weird thing to say, but it is important in the context of the game.
But I also think that gives you something to play for Saigon Buffalo. You know that you still have Shogun to play for down in that bot side, despite the team completely falling apart. Because all of them did fall apart. They had nothing to play for. He was still standing there trying to do his best at firing some damage to come through. And now you can build a key team composition around that better. You can go for more of the team fighting style, the early game prowess that we've seen Saigon Buffalo be so good at, both regionally as well, but also glimpses of it at plans. Because I think, once again, this is a team that can actually do really well into Mad Lions.
Yeah.
But if they just sit around and watch everything get cross-mapped, because that's what happened. They would send 5 members into the mid lane, and then their side lane turrets would just get taken.
Let's start from the perspective of Saigon Buffalo. Look into your crystal ball for me, Gulborg.
That puts Saigon Buffalo in
That
there.
let me think. What do you think about the draft now? How do you think will change? The last time they were red side, they banned Draven, Aatrox, and Seraphine. Jack mentioned that maybe you remove Aatrox from that ban pool, see whether or not Armut will actually lock that one in. What else do you anticipate could be a possibility?
I mean, I would actually swap at least one of the bans with the Sylas instead. You can even let the Draven be open if you want to. I think Matt has actually displayed that they feel a little uncomfortable playing around the bot lane as a point of attack. It's more, let's have a reliable AD carry in the backline, but let's not have someone we play through and like directly. So I think that's a ban you can throw out there. I only think that Draven ban makes sense if you're looking for Kalista.
Okay, let's find out if that's the case. No change for ban number 1. Aphelios removed from the pool here from Mad Lions. Draven is left inside the ban, so no changes as of yet. Mad Lions next up, Gulborg.
Yeah, okay, but I think Mad Lions is just going to continue with what they've had so far as well. And Poppy, of course, was one of the champions, Pantheon against Bean J, as we already talked about. Those were the 3 bans with Aphelios that came out from Mad Lions. So far, it's mirrored from Saigon. They haven't changed up anything, and I think Mad Lions are quite happy about that. So on 3, on the blue side ban here, it's actually going to be the Caitlyn instead, so Mad Lions have opted in for the rotations, and I wonder if that means they're looking for any Poppies themselves. Bans does get changed as well from the side of Saigon. You can see they've let open the Seraphine, banned the Sylas.
Sylas removed, exactly like you mentioned. That Seraphine and Swain were instrumental in Man Lions' first win. They're going to pivot that first pick as well. Last game was the Sylas banned away, so now they've swapped to the Hecarim, and Shogun's got the misfortune already.
Yeah, but now you're getting a mimic of the first time this team played around. If Mad Lions want to go for the same thing that happened back then you're going to lock in Seraphine and you're going to lock in the Gnar, because that's what happened the first time they played against each other. And what's that? That's the Seraphine. What's the third one? Oh, well, I'll have you know, that's a Gnar once again.
Oh, great job, Gulborg. Fantastic. And will we see the full Salty run back?
We won't.
Sandra is a pivot this time around, and Froggy's going to lock that in. But again, it fits the style of play we've seen from them all tournaments.
But that's interesting, because Lissandra is usually not one of the champions that you pick up just blind. It's quite often either a counter into a mid laner like the LeBlanc, or it's because you have a jungler you want to play for. But this time around, they just slam it in immediately. And while he can get the push and move down to a bot side, Nisqy now has that luxury where he can try and get something that gets push against the Lissandra, like an Azir as well, if that's something Nisqy wants to try his luck on.
What is the ban's going to be here from Saigon Buffalo? One would assume something targeting that bottom lane. Get rid of them if you can. Amumu's gone. Alistair's gone. Will Leona go out? What was the support that was run with that Seraphine last time round? I think it was the Alistair, if I recall correctly.
It was indeed.
And now Saigon are going to ban away the Swain. So at least pieces of what cost them a win earlier are now off the table.
Yeah, but you also have to realize at the same time that banning away and Alistar that there's so many champions that still function the same way. If Mad Lions decide to ban the Leona there, Nautilus will still be up available. I think that's actually really clever from them. They decide to leave both things open, because if they go for the Nautilus, you can still go for the Leona then. You won't leave one engager up and available. You'll have both sides of the coin there.
Well, that's the case so far. Misfortune Nautilus in the bottom lane for Shogun and Taki. Hazmed waiting to see what he's going to run up in that top lane. Is that tiny possibility?
Ooh, that's good too.
Could flex there, and Set could fit that initiation option that you've talked about. Managed to get that done, because going to pivot away at the last second. So what are we looking for now? A Nisqy option into the Lissandra.
So, Nisqy option into Lissandra. I mean, you can go for control mages that fit the team fight composition if that's what you're looking for. You can even go an 80 if that's really what you want to get ahead at, but I think the best thing to go for will still be that AP. Talia wouldn't honestly be too bad either if that's something Nisqy wants to default to.
2 games played, 100% win rate, 50% win rate, correction, it is locked in now. When I look throughout the entire season and year, this will be the 10th time that Nisqy has played Talia, and we have a Vayne top? That's a Vayne top! Yes, Gulborg, look up, Vayne top. What does this mean?
That means he's getting reported, and I hate range top laners. Who locks in Vayne in the top lane? Now, this is a champion that, of course, can battle it up with Armut in the top side. You win the trains. Gnar has really low range in the beginning. So does Vayne, but it's actually longer than the Gnar, so you can actually contest on the top side. So now Armut is going to be struggling just a little bit. There's actually kill pressure both in the bot side and in the top lane. But at the same time, if you leave this Vayne out to dry and she didn't get resources, it's a really easy pick to come around and gang once you hit that level 6.
Oh, we have to watch. How does Saigon Buffalo enable Vayne top? We've had Timo top, Garen top, and now we've added Vayne to the collection as one of the potential answers into this NAR. Don't forget as well, some abilities to deal with Hecarim a little bit, but you need to get Vayne in an advantageous position. Vayne or bust. That seems to be how I'm reading this game.
I mean, this is so curious, right? You just got solo killed in lane, and the response is just like, there is no way I'm going to be losing top lane, at least from a laning state, when you lock in this Vayne. A lot of it's going to come down to junglers. Once again, if you overextend, it's a long lane, and yes, you have the condemn, but as soon as the level 6 comes through, that Hecarim will be on top of you, Gnar will be on top of you, you can only condemn one of them, and that most likely will be the Gnar too, since Hecarim's unstoppable.
Well, let's find out whether or not Hazmat can actually stay safe. I want to pay very close attention to the early stage of this game. BJ on that Maokai in game number 1 wasn't able to have some influence on the Rift in the map. Yoya's Hecarim did very well, and we have a lane swap. We have a lane swap as well. Will it stick this way?
No, it will not. That's the Vayne top, and that's just Nautilus around to see if anyone's going to come around here. Albeit, I do see the point of view that could come through. So Ghost has been opted in for Hazmat as well, so looking to just completely auto-space their opponent, get the resets in with the Ghost. It fares up really well with your ultimate resets as well, of course. So, problem is, if you die and you have Ghost, you lose a lot. Like, we're talking 1 or 2 deaths in lane, then you have completely extended your power spike.
Because of the fact that you lose the CS, you lose the experience, you can't TP back, right? Whereas Armut can. Everybody at home, link your league account with Prime Gaming to receive your free digital goods. I actually haven't claimed my October chest yet. I'll need to do that a little bit later. But I will say that 2 games in a row now, Saigon Buffalo have made it clear that kind of the split pushing or that top lane power angle is one of the ways that they're trying to pick it up. The Gwen in the previous game didn't get rolling, didn't get activated. Vayne this time around, I think you can make a defendable argument it's even harder to get a Vayne rolling and going. But if he does, then that's a champion that can take over an entire Rift.
But you can also see it from the 2 junglers where they're starting, right?
Yeah.
They're on the bot side
Yes.
of the map. They know where this is going to be going in terms of the pressure. They're going to move it up towards the top side. It wouldn't even surprise me to see BJ skip camps, just have that W and Q available to him, and come around if there's a stacked wave from Hazmat up towards the top side.
Right now, Hazmat seems to be pushing, if you look at the mini-map, a number of pings there from Mad Lions. Taki as well as Shogun pushing forward. And this is what you talked about in draft. Goldberg, that slightly extra range enabling or allowing Hazmat to push forward and step forward.
Oh, it's not a fun lane to play as now. You're just kind of there to hit the boomerangs every now and then, and you're going to get sewn away, as you can see that's happening right now. That's just how it goes.
Yeah. All 3 lanes in favor of Saigon Buffalo. Hazmat stepping for level 2 as well. Going to tumble forward, use those silver bolts to get a couple shots. No condemn as of yet, so Armor can still stick around that wall. And I will say that Niski's been able to at least push that wave a little bit back with Unraveled Earth, that threaded volley. And again, lots of trading. But Hazmat playing this great in the opening. Look at the mini-map. BJ is going to be first in the river.
Yeah, that's the thing as well. Even from the bot lane, because Saigon gets to push every time, that can enable Taki if he wants to get out on the map and roam. And that would be a great advantage in terms of playing the map and keeping the tempo active. Now, Elioya up towards the top side. Make sure Namu can collect this wave because he's still level 1.
15 CS to 2. Hazmat's Vayne using the early power over Gnar to perfect advantage. Armut's trying to pick up some CS under the towers. Lost 1, 2 already. Picked up 1. He's missing a lot of these, but under a huge amount of pressure. Now, in comparison to game 1, it's Armut that's on the back foot, playing defensively. You can see down in the bottom lane, Unforgiven and Kaiser. After that wave is bounced, it's slowly starting to move back in the middle. And Saigon, for the first couple of minutes, already off to a good start.
I wouldn't want that for my biggest enemy either, having to play that matchup. Now, in the bot side, Saigon Buffalo crashed a wave. Now it's slow pushing into them. That can create a point of attack for them if they want to get a little aggressive, but it's probably not going to amount to much.
Zenith Blade underneath the tower, locked against the wall. 2 tower shots for Kaiser. Shogun down below 100 HP. Not going to be able to find the kill, and he escapes with his life.
That's a big mistake. Ilyoya is also around the wall. The fact that there's a stacked wave and you're pushing into it, trading with it, that is really bad. Now Taki caught on the turret.
Well, Yoya's going to step forward, devastating. Charge teleport being channeled, forced to flash defensively. Below 100 hit points, first blood secured by Kaiser. 2 kills, bounce back for Saigon.
That's the Mad Lions I know and love. Over-aggressive down down towards that bot side, giving 2 kills over to Saigon Buffalo. Shogun now, it looked bad in the beginning, but a great teleport came through from Froggy to bail out his teammate.
Both kills secured by the carries. Froggy 1-0 and Shogun 1-0-1. While the tower dive did net a kill for Kaiser, you have to highlight that it's the advantageous position for Saigon, and this is what you expected and wanted to see. BNJ not only backing up Hazmed, if you push Armored away from the wave, he's already down 18 CS. Stepping forward, he's down a level already. So this Vayne, for the first 5 minutes, has been set up very well. Hazmed singly at the beginning, and now back up from BNJ.
Yeah, and it's just so great from BNJ too. He knows he has camps on the bot side, but even picking up kills now, he's most likely not going to lose them. Taki though.
Tags Taki, gets stunned in place by that Shield of Daybreak. But his flash gets him to safety. Billboard 400 gold advantage for Buffalo.
Yeah, so Buffalo in a great position this time around. We're kind of looking at a win lane, win game kind of philosophy here in this instance. And remember, there's so much space for Taki to move around with as well.
Oof. So much damage back forward. Not going to find it just yet. Silver Bolt proc, as well as that tumble, not enough. But Hazmed loses the flash for that one. Okay. Win lane, win game. How much of an advantage do you want to see Buffalo build up to buy into that and feel like it can't be overcome by this team fight?
We're going to hold out for just a second, as this is probably going to be a stacked up wave, and they can look here if they want to. Unforgiven does have teleport, but no mana.
No, he's got the flash available to him though. Bramble Smash comes out, the high note will land. Zenith Blade throws Kaiser all the way forward, but that's not a kingly move. Flashes over the wall, Twisted Advance chased forward, Blast Cone backwards, and Kaiser will be taken out by Froggy. The third kill of the game, 1,000 gold up.
Here's the cracks in the Castle of Glass already showing now from Mad Lions. All of a sudden, there's a miscommunication here. Unforgiven wants out. Elyoya wants out. But the Zenith Blade connects, and all of a sudden, Kaiser is just caught by himself. This is looking so good for Saigon Buffalo. They keep finding the leads. BNJ, it's through him as well. Moves up to the top side. Facilitate Hazmeds even further. Moves down towards the bot side. Is ready for a stacked up wave. The game right now and the game state for Saigon Buffaloes, it's so fluid.
Now the question is, I want to go back. At what point, either itemization or gold, do you believe the win lane, win game philosophy is going to be enough? Does Vayne and Shogun need to be an item ahead of their opponents? Like, put it into a picture that I can understand.
I used to say that it's usually between the 4.5 and 5k gold lead at around the 20-minute mark where the game becomes really difficult. The thing is, like, the larger gold lead is early in the game, of course, the more it's going to matter, because the item advantage is just going to be even further. I think that Saigon Buffalo is leaving themselves up on good discourse to get over there, just due to the fact that Rift Hell is going to be spawning in 1 second. How does the top lane currently look like? Yeah. Top lane prior, right?
Exactly.
Mid lane as well, well, while it's not being pushed in right now by Mad Lions, well, as soon as Froggy comes back, he's going to be shoving that in. Taki has the movement all the time, so there's just not a lot that Mad Lions can get on the top side. Saigon Buffaloes are dictating this, or has the opportunity to at least.
Now, of course, Mad Lions did have a small answer back. There's pushing that mid wave is unlocked. Another push. Bottom lane has just been a game of ping pong. They've traded wave pressure underneath each tower, and this time around Shogun with no flash is respecting it. He backed away. I also want to highlight that just a moment ago the observers showed Armored. He hit level 6 prior to Hazmed and has closed that CS difference quite significantly. But look at the minimap. BNJ making his way forward, spotted on the ward. Not enough support from Mad Lions. Armored's going to use that knob backwards, trying to trade. BNJ's in. Second kill in the top lane. This time it goes to Hazmed.
Yeah, and Armored gets desperation there, or desperate there. He knows that Hazmed does not have the flash, so he kind of looks for a kill, see if he can get anything done. Nothing connects to the wall. BNJ is around. Great positioning for him once again.
Seismic shove. Into that Zenith play. Froggy gets out with that Claw of Doom. Really nicely set up. And for the time being, Saigon Buffalo maintain that 1,000 gold advantage. There's a lot of movement here from Mad Lions, mid to jungle, bottom to mid. Rift Herald's been started off just off the spawn, but Saigon want to fight.
I'm not sure that they want this fight from Mad Lions. Saigon, they have the ultimate. You can see the level 6 from BNJ.
Shogun
and
as
I
well.
think they just have to disengage this one. Even with Unforgiven moving up, I just don't think they have the resources for
Look
it.
at the minimap from Eagleborg. Have Mad Lions got any answer? No teleport for Armored. He's in the bottom lane. Hazmed in the top lane. No TP of himself. Mad Lions, they step forward. They're taunting. They're taunting the Buffalo. Waiting. Well, then engage. High note comes out. Taki can step forward to that dredge line. And as it stands, Mad Lions will not be able to contest. They elect not to. Armored has been left alone in the bottom lane while Hazmed's pushing top.
I think that's why it's really good, actually, that they tear up the patience a little bit on the Rift Herald there, because it gives you more time to actually shove waves in. But make no mistake, in the big picture, this is still a huge win for Saigon Buffalo, and this is something you want to just accelerate your lanes. If you lose this, or use this rather, on a side lane where the Vayne picks up two tier 2 turrets, all of a sudden that might as well be game over.
I mean, it's plus 300 gold for now. BJ and Taki stepping forward. There is some defense from Unforgiven. Kaiser continues to roam, so lots of movement. Fantastic prediction from Taki. Flash dredge line into Nature's Grasp, and you will not be forgiven. The 5th kill to Saigon Buffalo. Turret plates available as well. And despite the damage in the middle lane, Saigon accelerate that lead, 2,000 golds.
And that right there, that was the pace we missed in game 1. This is where you want to challenge Mad Lions, and Saigon Buffalo, they continue with it. They pick up a kill, they get the turret for themselves. Gold for Hazmat, the first turret too. This is so dire to deal with. Hazmat is going to be huge in this game.
Oh, I'm taking a quick look here. Let's see, are there any professional Vayne games? How many? 8 games played for Hazmat in the top lane. He's won 5 of those. This will be the 9th. Right now, 1-0-1. Tower secured, unlocked, and Armored is now the next focus. Taki, no depth charge available to him, but instead, Hazmat is the target. He gets away from those threaded volleys. Aljoya's devastating charge backwards, and in a 2-on-1, he almost takes down Niski.
Yeah, and what's the cost of that? Because you get 1 kill. Now mid lane is being pushed in by Froggy. BJ's on the bot side. He can make his way to the Infernal Drake for himself, so they get another objective for themselves. Now, good job for Mad Lions. At least they pick up a kill. At least they get something in the game. But it's still Saigon. They're going to get more. And that's how the course is going to continue to go.
Nearly 3,000 gold lead at 11 minutes. I just asked you a couple moments ago, what advantage do you want to see? You mentioned maybe 4K, 5K by 20. They're on track. Dragon will also be secured. So another win condition in terms of looking for that soul. Mid lane was pushed forward. Dragon still not yet secured. Taki is level 6 and not. Armored is coming up from behind. Dredge line catches onto Kaiser, waiting for Nard to step forward. Gets the hyper, about to go mega. Flash is available to him. Nature's Grasp will slow things down. A stun against the walls. The bullet time will just about take down Armored. Here comes Hazmat. He gets a kill onto Kaiser, and Buffalo are running away with this game.
And just beautiful positioning coming through from Shogun on the Misfortune there. He gets away from all the danger by himself, lines himself up perfectly for the bullet time. So Mad Lions, they want to see a team fight. They want to overdo Saigon Buffalo, but they just play right into their hands.
Man, the power of that combination, Nature's Grasp plus bullet time, completely thwarted everything Armored set up. I don't think he found a stun either on that Mega Gnar. But all it is another team fight. Keep a close eye. Look at your mini-map, not coming up from the bottom.
Yeah, that's the thing though, right? You can see that Mad Lions, they want to look for a team fight. If they can get 3 lined up against the wall here, that would be perfect. But what Shogun is doing instead, he's gonna give himself an opening. If they overextend, he's gonna be in a perfect spot. Armored had a position to try and stop the bullet time if he wanted to. He's gonna look for the big team fight, but the problem is that big team fight is in the middle of a lot of pain with the bullet time. So as the fight continues, they just straight up lose out.
2-1-1 for the Vayne. 1-0-4 for Shogun's Misfortune. Kraken Slayer completed, as well as the Shield Bow. The Saigon Buffalo are in a great position. They are utilizing their composition fantastically, and I want to keep track on Hazmat's positioning. His lane assignment rather. Where do Buffalo put him? How does he play on those side lanes? Because now Saigon also want to be a little cautious. If that Vayne is unlocked, they don't want to overextend themselves.
Oh yeah, but we're not even that long into the game.
No, we're
Waiting
not.
is still up, so like playing those side lanes,
minutes.
playing these side lanes is not really gonna be the thing just yet. We're waiting for the second Rift Herald.
Man,
he's out. Don't worry about
Glacial
it.
Path was so good. You know what? Thank you for the time update. I definitely thought it was like 5, 6 minutes
I do understand it, but
was.
this is why I initially said that I think Saigon Buffalo is a really good team into Mad Lions, because when they play a high tempo game, Mad Lions will want to do the same. But when you try to one-up a team that plays just on the edge of what's possible, you are the one overextending all of a sudden. And that's why when Saigon Buffalo plays at this tempo, Mad Lions, they just continue to go for bad exchanges. So I really love what Saigon Buffalo is doing in this game. They just keep the pressure up. And then to answer your question in terms of where might we see side lane attack? Well, when you get the Rift Herald in 1 minute and 30 seconds,
Yeah.
that's really where you want to move the Vayne around.
It's 12 minutes in the game. I'm genuinely so enthralled at the pacing. I also really want to commend just how Froggy's played this Lissandra. Unforgiven's going to get taken out here. Hazmat tumbles his way to safety. The dredge line was beautiful. Double kill for top lane Vayne. off.
Yeah, and I tell you right now, is that if we get to the 20-minute mark, they're 5k ahead, I'm pretty much ready to call it a game over. Goal currently very much in the favor of Saigon. They just busted open the mid lane tier 1 turret. Rift Hell is still spawning in 50 seconds. And Mad Lions, they're just getting picked apart. Saigon Buffalo, that makes it look easy.
How do Mad Lions play team fights? Because that little moment where Hazmed tumbles forward with that ultimate available, the final hour correction, goes out of visibility, sidesteps the CC. If you can't lock him down, you're going to be so much trouble.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's so many people you need to lock down. One has to focus on Shogun, so when bullet time come out, you pretty much have to use the solar flare to stop him immediately. So that's one engage tool away.
Yeah.
Now you have Misfortune CC'd, great. Maybe Talia can continue Hecarim on top.
Yep.
Who deals with the Vayne?
Yep.
Who deals with the Fet Vayne then? And that's the problem. Nature's Grass come out.
Oh, Glacial Path. That's going to be Kaiser locked into place. Armut's trying to stack up the Mega Gnar. Hazmed will be late to the party. No teleport available to him. The high note is flashed away from. Taki gets a great dredge line, and the encore will not do enough. The re-engage is great. Froggy, with the help of Shogun, get themselves yet another kill. The Unraveled Earth will dissuade the chase, and at 15 minutes, Saigon are 10 kills to 2, and they are up 5,500 gold.
Welcome to the Vietnamese slaughterhouse. Tonight, we're having Lions, and it's looking pretty good for the Vietnamese representatives right now, coming back in the best of 5. And especially when you take into context the game they just cave off in the best of 1.
Yes.
That was a complete demolish by Mad Lions. There is no way for Saigon to get back into the game. Now you take this game instead, where they have so many tools to start up the engages. You have a Nautilus, you have the Maokai, you have the Lissandra, and this time around, they're the team who's patient with it. They're the one who's waiting for the correct moment before they throw everything in there. They still have the Nautilus ult available, they still have the Lissandra ult available, and they wait until this moment to bust it all out, where Mad Lions just can't do anything. Niski's E even puts them away, not even back into the walls, so yeah, not looking good.
Man, look at that expression from Alyoya, super frustrated and in a very difficult scenario. I can only apologize to solo queue all around the world. Top veins are coming, and Hazmed
God, I hate it.
is inspiring so many people.
It's so effective. I just want to say I really love it in this scenario, but
Yes.
it's just, playing against it. You're feeling it.
Kudos to Hazmed because he generated that lead himself for the first 4 or 5 levels, and then as a team, Saigon Buffalo sent the resources necessary, dropped the Herald in that top lane, and they've managed to move around. In comparison to game 1, I feel like there's been a lot more lane reassignments, as once again BJ is looking to set up Froggy and the rest of Buffalo's on the minimap in the southern quadrant of the Rift. Kaiser's got that solar flare, the Herald is dropped, and Niski's pushing the top lane, so cross map is at play as well as the objective bounty.
They did have a little ward on Alyoya was recalling, so they knew to go for a great hook.
Very nicely done, Mega Gnar. I mean, he's been chunked with everything and will go down! Throw everything in the kitchen sink at Armwood for the 3rd time this game. He is dropped. BJ's Nature's God will force Mad Lions away at 17 minutes. The Rift Herald is taken down. Win lane, win game as the approach of Buffaloes are smashing lane.
On 100% here. I mean, there's always going to be the argument that might have been a little early of an inhibitor to take, but if you're actually able to use the pressure that's going to come through the super minions, you can look for it. Hazmed?
Wall, Weaver's Wall. Hazmed still got flash available. Condemns Alyoya and will force the flash out. At least he escapes with his life.
Yeah, not much being used from Mad Lions there in terms of the ultimate, so I think it's just great stuff from the top laner there to be using the flash to get out of this situation. Pretty much just want to get the resets, but what a great hook from Taki. He's been absolutely amazing on the Nautilus. I'm a little sad because I have Nautilus to end all the games on my pick'ems, but Taki, he's really setting his team up in this situation.
1, 2, 3 ultimates thrown down, but they secure the kill. The next ultimate from Maokai is enough to secure the tower and the inhib. And that then allows the Saigon Buffalo to pick up their 2nd dragon of the game. They add a mountain to that Infernal, and now we're playing for Hex. And as it stands, Saigon Buffalo have got all the tools they need. I'm intrigued to see if they want to even make a move for Baron. 2 Kraken Slayers and a Vayne. Correction, Kraken Slayer and a Vayne is what I wanted to say. That can get melted as Taki now almost jumped on, but he backs away just in time.
And you just don't want to overextend anything here, right? You take a look at bot lane, super minions are going to be pushing in. Minions coming in through mid lane, super easy. We play that up. We're going to play on 2 lanes. We'll pressure in the mid lane. When you respond to that pressure, as we see right now with Unforgiven, we'll move into the top side. We'll get vision control. And now we just keep going back and forth and never have to worry about bot lane because super minions are down there. Shogun, you to force the cleanse out of him there. Great stuff by Niski. It's probably not going to be enough though.
No, a lot of damage secured, and once again, Nature's Grasp used to dissuade so many members together. Where is the engage?
Oh, that's a good
Solar
Solar
Flare
Flare.
comes down. Onslaught of Shadows with a devastating charge. 2 kills for Unforgiven. Now they're looking for Taki, trying to run him down. Noel pulls him backwards. Husband versus the Pack of Lions. He gets 1 before going down. And Mad Lions with 20 seconds to Baron. Do they fancy it? This is not a fast Baron team. Do they look for the objective bounties on the towers?
Big blunder from Sycon there, but absolutely huge ultimate by Kaiser, setting everything up. And that's the team composition, the death ball composition that we saw Mad Lions have success with. The first time these 2 teams played against each other, but look at this all of that. They're begging for it. They're just saying, hit us. We dare you. Encore comes out, Onslaught of Shadows. You don't get to play the game. Armored still has his Mega Gnar, and it goes down. Topside though, BJ finds Niski.
Threaded volley, looking for that work ground, looking for that work ground. 1 is timed out, Niski's low. He's going to weave his wall over. That's
amazing!
That is one of the coolest things I have ever seen.
And now with the mid laner dead, with all the pressure around the Baron being stolen up by Sycon Buffaloes, they can just start this up themselves. I'm not sure what happened with Niski's position since we was in a replay or how he ended up there. But Sycon, they punish immediately, and now they're the one on Baron. 4 versus 5 situation, no mid laner for Mad Lions.
No ultimate for Yoya either. Unforgiven's got that encore available to him. Solar Flare into the Zenith. There's at least stopped the Baron for now. Omid's trying to stack up the Mega Gnar. Saigon Buffalo fire out the bullet time. Onslaught Shadow's coming up. Niski and no Weaver's Wall, no teleport. Baron secured by Buffaloes. And they extend that gold lead once again. 6,700 gold. Baron on 5 members. They're in a great position.
They most certainly are, but this is also where the point, like, these inhibitors that was left open, it haven't really amounted to much. Like, that's experience and gold that Mad Lions are picking up for themselves. It's not going to make or break the game, but in terms of min-maxing, that's the conversation you always have. Now, with the Baron buff, though, with an open inhibitor on the bot side, with 2 lanes to play on the top side, Shogun should be in a position where, now that they all have the flashes, Glenn's almost up for Shogun, they would not get engaged on like they were before. This is where you want to see them, you know, just clean out the game in nice, clean fashion.
Now, if you were to give Mad Lions a percentage chance to come back, what odds do you give them the current state? 5-2-1 on this event. Baron for the next 2 minutes in the Red Bull Baron power play. How likely is it Mad Lions to win those fights and come back? 5%?
If this is my solo queue game, the FF vote has already been deployed.
Wow, that's the answer that I was looking for. Mad Lions, can they get another miracle team fight? And they might need more than one. That inner turret top lane fight is what gave them a chance in the game, and we're heading back there potentially for round 2.
We most certainly are. 1 minute still on the Drake as well, which means that you can employ a lot of pressure on the top side here. Get this in, have a mid lane wave that's being escorted by Hazmat, play on that too. The only thing that's difficult for Saigon right now is the sieging part. They don't really have anyone that can just go up and knock on the turret, which is where it becomes difficult. This is where they have to play through the pressure that they gain on the map.
Right now, pressure's being diverted in that bottom lane. Unforgiven, push that wave out, literally so that the minion wave from Mad into the last couple supers will crash into the tower. It did cost a teleport, but with a minute left on Baron, I think Saigon Buffalo didn't have the lanes set up pushing to go for the inhibitors, but they did get that outer turret in the top lane. It's 7-1, and I think crucially, Goldborg, they've recalled, and now they're going to be able to catch bottom wave and set up for Dragon number 3.
They most certainly are. Now, always remember, you should never FF any games, of course, too, in that regard. So Mad Lions, of course, there's always a chance. But in terms of finding a chance to fight the next Drake, I don't see it. You can already see it. They want to cross-map. They want to see what they can get on the top side. So intelligently done by Mad Lions, at least. They're just handshaking the fact, see what they can get. But still, they're going to lose so much more on the other side of the map.
Unforgiven starting to back away. 3-4 members of Buffalo in the mid lane. Dropping high notes to try clear out those mini waves. Still 20 seconds on this Red Bull Baron power play in the bottom lane. Shogun's now ushered the minions forward. Baron times out in 15. Inhibitor in the middle lane. Secured. Dredge line. Sidestepped. Saigon, get one. Get two. I'm waiting for the engage, Dredge line, solar flare cleanse from there instantly from Shogun. That's already armored down. The Encore does little to stop the Buffaloes. The Pride is pushing forward, and Alyoya will be the fourth to fall. He escapes with the onslaught of shadows, and despite Niski's best efforts, the Nexus turrets are now being focused down. Saigon Buffalo continue to siege and push back. Niski and Alyoya, the last turret is now falling. The Nexus is exposed. Saigon Buffalo will not go down. Saigon Buffalo bounce back in a Vayne top helps them win game 2.
24 minutes. That's all it took. The bloodiness, the aggression, the high pace coming out from Saigon, completely shutting down Mad Lions and just whispering away the first game of the series.
Fantastic performance. That Vayne last pick comes in, and from minute 1 took control of the game. More impressive to me was how Saigon Buffalo moved around the map. A 24-minute win. The team fights that despite one blunder in the top lane, that's about as good as that game's going to get.
I mean, if you're going to get credit to someone, BJ for the first pathing, he was there at the right moment at the right time every single time. And Shogun with his position on the MF. Like, this is what you dream of when you see the misfortune in the backline. Safe, not able to be hit on at all whatsoever.
Go bug.
What's up?
Ladies, gentlemen, everybody else, we've got a series on our hands. Remember, you can check out Saigon Buffalo's pick Takeover as a song that represents their playstyle on the official LOL playlist on Spotify. While you take a listen, we're joining back up with the State Farm Analyst Desk. It's a classic, come on.
I don't like it.
He said it, not me, but he's correct nonetheless. We do have a series on our hands, now tied at 1-1. A 24-minute win out of the Saigon Buffaloes, a decisive reversal here in the second game. They stick to their guns on the red side. They say, hey, we heard the analyst desk talking about how, you know, that trio of champions is really good for Mad Lions. Let's go ahead and toss that Seraphine back into the pool for them, and let's beat them anyway.
Yeah, well, they didn't give him Swain at least.
Okay.
Yeah, but we just saw Vayne top win.
Yeah, we did.
Just kind of letting that sink in.
That's just win, kind of smash.
And like how confidently he played as well, right? We were all watching him try to go for those dives, had things like the boomerang blade hit from the Gnar. We're like, oh my God, Hazmed.
Yeah.
But that confidence, that's what you need if you're going to pick a Vayne into a Gnar.
I thought this game was doomed, but doomed for Saigon Buffaloes when I saw these champions locked in. Again, the comfort that we've seen Mad Lions on a number of these picks, I was thinking they were going to kind of run away with it. But you heard Goldberg mention the intelligent pathing out of BJ to be in the right place, right time to support those lanes. That definitely can get a lot done if they get that lead, right? Your concern would be a Vayne who can't get off the ground. And yet, with that early path up to the top lane, getting Vayne through those first 4 levels very easily, and then she's off to the races.
Yeah, we saw, right, he got Vayne going. They were doing a nice job playing around him. And I also like that Hazmed also continuously joining up the team fights. But also, Mad Lions, honestly, they might fit right in VCS or LPL because despite having the scaling, they loved going for these fights.
How did you feel about this play, Jad? Like, did they even need to go for that?
Bad.
Okay.
Bad play.
Yeah, fair enough.
Bad play.
He was pretty overzealous, and I'm not certain that at 3 minutes and 30 seconds in the game they needed to go for it. Kaiser as well.
Just played good.
Uncharacteristically caught out many times, I think. And Taki was just nailing the hook.
Yeah, they were just hitting spot on every time, especially onto Unforgiven. Like, he hit numerous hooks onto the Seraphine at max range, allowing for these picks to be able to come through. And again, the most surprising thing to me about this game, apart from the confidence in the draft we saw from Saigon Buffalo, was the fact that Mad just kept opting into the fights. Like, Mad wanted to tussle. I guess we did hear Alyoya say it in his interview, but yeah, again, I feel like had Mad Lions chilled out a little bit.
You're right, they said bloody. So yeah, they gave us bloody.
They did, they did.
It was a crazy fast game. First inhib going down pre-18 minutes. Here's another big hook landed. Again, Kaiser has been the target of a lot of these. And again, I think for me, there's not a ton to say about this game other than it was very expertly piloted by Saigon Buffaloes. And I think in the end, I'm just happy to have seen the adjustments they made in draft to give themselves a better day. This was a hilarious play, by the way.
Got
oh my
him.
goodness, the W
Any minute now.
on it. Yeah,
He's going to get him.
Too good. Too good.
Strength of Maokai coming out. Again, BJ absolutely everywhere on the map. Husband popping off. And Shogun, I mean, great positioning in fights. Not like anything too insane, right? Just honestly, Saigon Buffaloes just ran them down. The Buffalo was stronger than the Lion in this one.
Yeah, last game, Armut, Mega Gnar. This game, very mini.
Very many.
Yeah, the damage difference here, I believe he was highest damage of all 10 players in the game in game 1. And here, he only has 400 more damage than the enemy support.
Yeah, barely beat his own support and his own jungler in terms of damage. You can see there, Niski trying to pump it out, but just not quite enough to get it done when you've got that much damage coming across from the other side. You know, 3 real carries there in the Lissandra, the Vayne, and the MF. So let's talk mostly about what we want to see next, because there's not a ton to discuss when it comes to that game. It was just a great showing by Saigon Buffaloes, momentum squarely in their camp. It will be Mad Lions who get side selection. We're still awaiting the official word on whether or not they'll stick to their guns on blue or hop on over to red. But what are your thoughts on that? Like, how do you even adjust from that game? It's almost such a dominant, loss that I would say, forget about it,
I kind of think maybe they'll try and clear their heads a little bit too, because watching through that highlight reel, a really ill-advised dive in the bottom lane.
Yeah.
Right? Then that took away a lot of their playmaking since they didn't have Prio in the top lane. And it sounds maybe oversimplistic, but just be more patient if you're Mad Lions. I really just don't like people turret diving bot lane before 4 minutes. It just almost never works in my experience watching League this year. So
okay, there you go.
They select red side.
We will have our first swap of sides in the series coming here, game 3, red side for Mad.
I'm actually kind of curious about this because the one takeaway I kind of have from that game is, again, Armut on the Gnar. Now, Saigon Buffalo are in their heads of what kind of wacky counter picks can they pick when Mad Lions went for pure comfort. That was something that we're like, hey, if they get this sort of composition, this should just be a solid Mad Lions favored win.
But is the composition even the problem? I guess that's my difficulty with this game too. Is I feel like there's some risk of them reacting to the fact that I was down 20 CS top lane, and you saw Elyoya feeling like he needed to protect against that early dive as opposed to continuing his farming.
Too,
exactly.
Right? Just getting in their own heads when it's like you said, a lot of it was coming down to the gameplay, not really anything coming out from draft.
Yeah, Flash on Hecarim was also peculiar.
Yes, we called that out kind of midway through as a random realization,
Yeah.
and it was an intentional change because he had Ghost in the prior game, so it's something he
Maybe
elected
I missed that.
to do.
He's done it more often than I realize.
I just don't see where the value of a Flash comes in against this team.
I also
either.
Yeah, I don't necessarily think that last game was about draft. And so in terms of picking red side, I can understand it because it's something that Saigon Buffalo clearly signaled that they want to do.
Yeah.
And also, I got a tweet that especially in the playoffs for Saigon Buffalo, red side was heavily prioritized by that region. So they chose it a lot more than other regions did, especially in playoffs. So a lot of value in counter picks if you're going to be playing earlier game because it's more decided in the laning phase.
I was going to say, even in a world where they pick, let's pretend they ended up with the exact same composition. Just by virtue of being on red side, I would imagine they protect themselves against one of those counter picks, right? You save the Gnar till the end. Even if you still go to the Gnar, you're like, cool, they don't have a Vayne this time, right? And you kind of just wait to see what you're up against.
Exactly. So it definitely does feel like it changes a lot more about putting Saigon Buffaloes behind. And we also did talk about Matt earlier in the day, right? That these sort of Seraphine sustained compositions weren't the only things they were playing in play-ins or throughout the split. They definitely have other looks and other things that they're able to go to.
All tied up currently in the series at 1-1. Yesterday, we caught up with Saigon Buffalo's Bean J on their goals for this tournament and how they feel heading into game against the LEC's Mad Lions. Take a look.
Sau trận đấu này, bọn mình đã làm tốt hơn, nhưng thiếu một phần quyết định và chưa chắc chắn. Mình nghĩ là team mình cần có những chủ động và kêu gọi tất cả đồng đội để làm cùng mục tiêu. Như vậy sẽ giúp team mình sẽ có cơ hội thắng LNG. Động lực của em là để chiến thắng những cặp trận bo năm ở play-in để vào vòng bảng. Người chơi rừng của Madden Eloya, anh ta cũng đánh khá là hay và cũng mắc ít lỗi, nhưng ở trong trận đấu này mình sẽ cẩn thận hơn về chừng của anh ta. Bọn mình rất là tự tin khi đối đầu với Madden. Bọn mình sẽ rất là tự tin khi đối đầu ở cặp trận BO5 vì bọn mình có rất nhiều cơ hội. Bọn mình sẽ cố gắng hết sức để chiến thắng Mad Lions.
They've already got 5. How about the rest, though? Can they kill Fiora? Yes, they can. The front line holds up. A stopwatch buys time. A beautiful bait by RNG, but turned around stronger by Saigon Buffalo.
Cảm ơn tất cả các fan Việt Nam đã luôn ủng hộ cho tụi mình và sẵn sàng chửi khi bọn mình ngu và bọn mình đã nhận được và bọn mình đã cố gắng cải thiện. Và xin cảm ơn fan Mexico đã luôn giúp tụi mình đến được đây. Xin cảm ơn.
A very humble BJ and a
Where
couple.
do these photos come from?
I don't know where we got
Who did
the
this?
buffalo and the lion, but we did get them. I would have questioned some of that confidence in their matchup against Mad following game 1. But after that game 2, I can absolutely see where they're getting it from. And BJ is such a massive piece of it, specifically when you consider how integral Elyoya is to the success of Mad Lions. And so I think in this matchup, particularly, a lot of the onus of Saigon Buffalo's success is going to be on BJ and putting up performances like he did here in game 2.
I have a different point.
Oh, great.
I'm so distracted by this. So I know something to be true. I'm curious if it is also true for this.
Okay.
So moose kill more people each year than bears.
I believe it.
Yeah, weird, right? But it's mainly because people are cautious of bears.
Right.
And they're just like, yeah, this moose is friendly, but it's 2,000 pounds and it's just going to charge you.
Yes.
I wonder if buffalo kill more than lions.
Probably.
Yeah, I actually.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Because have you ever been to Yosemite or one of those, like Yellowstone?
There's no
Park,
lions
anything
there.
like that? No, but there are plenty of moose and plenty of buffalo.
Yeah.
And they'll let you know, man. They'll bully cars off the road. Just saying. So I wouldn't be surprised. Wouldn't be surprised. All right, with our series all tied up, both teams still have a shot at tomorrow's match versus Evil Geniuses. And for EG's top winner, Impact, the latest installment of OnePlus Cam shows us that he's right at home here at Worlds. Check it out.
Hello guys, my name is Impact and I'm a top laner in Evil Genius in Mexico. How I like it? I think I like it food, kinda. I mean Asian food kind of bad in here, but actually really good like Mexican food. So I'm enjoyed it. Tournament, pretty fun. That was interesting. The stage in the mall, right? That's cool. Fence is nice and I'm really enjoyed it here. I like it.
Hello, ladies, gentlemen, and everybody else. Welcome back to World's Play-Ins Knockouts. We're 1-1 between Mad Lions and Saigon Buffalo. And I have a quick stat question for you, Gulborg.
Oh, yeah.
How many days ago did Mad Lions lose to Supermassive from the TCL and not advance to elimination round at Play-Ins? Take a guess.
365 days?
400 days exactly. And they just lost now. Saigon Buffalo, they had side selection. They picked red side. Mad Lions are now the ones under pressure that have to adapt to the Buffaloes.
Oh, they most certainly does. And I think it makes sense. Usually, red side is not what has been preferred throughout the entire year. I mean, you just go back to MSI with T1 as well in that last game. But in this game, it's very much about stabilizing the solo lane. As red side gives you the power of not having a counter pick, red 5, Vayne come into the picture.
Yeah.
So if I'm Mad Lions here, I don't mind blind picking for Nisqy. I know that Froggy's not going to be the one who's punishing you in lane, but I want to save that last pick for Ahmed and make sure he's in a comfortable position to make sure that top lane is stable and not something that's going to be a weakness on the team.
I saw a couple of comments online talking about a 0 damage comp from Mad Lions into Vayne. It was 10th pick. It was the last option. It was a surprise. Now, this is the team you expect surprises from. So that's why I like red side in particular. How will the drafting now flip? Saigon on the blue side, do you anticipate any changes? They've gone Draven and Aatrox both previous games. Now with the possibility of, first picking it, maybe drop the Aatrox, make that a Mad Lions ban?
I mean, I would really wish Mad Lions didn't have so much heavy priority on the AD carries.
Yeah.
The fact that Maokai gets let through, you don't prioritize it as well. You had Hecarim over Maokai. I think that was a big weakness when Silas was banned. And now that Silas is banned again, even if they first pick it over from the side of Saigon Buffalo, you're not going to have a good answer. There's just like barely any counters to it. The Aatrox is a good shout as well. They might say, you know what, Aatrox, he's broken, but we'll try our best. Maybe Ahmed has some kind of sort of counter pick that he wants to go at it. We've seen teams let it through multiple times. But from Saigon's side, they're going to stick to the bans they had before.
3 for 3 as far as Draven is concerned. Seraphine and Aatrox are the only other bans we've seen from them. Caitlyn once again removed from the pool. So let's think about what is up and available. Aatrox there, Maokai there. Seraphine is something that's been banned as well. The Poppy has been banned several times too.
I don't think you need to ban the Poppy. The Poppy is old right now. So Aatrox will actually get banned by Saigon, and I anticipated a little bit. They didn't strike me as the team that was going to first pick this. They strike me as the team that would have the priority on the Maokai, then on the AD carry department. They could default to the Misfortune. Maybe they want to play the Kalista knowing that Draven is banned as well. But I would also expect that Mad Lions, that if they see the Maokai, okay, there it is. This is the adaptation I wanted. Throw away one of the AD carry bans at least, and then go for the Maokai ban instead.
Well, what does this mean for Saigon Buffalo? Where do they prioritize their picks? Yep. A lot slower of a draft as we're into game 3. Anticipating and interpreting now the meta of this best of 5. It will be a first pick Hecarim here for BJ.
Yeah, and that's what they did when they were playing against Wildcats in the first game of the entire tournament as well. So it's not like they don't have priority on the other. I think Saigon actually has a good read on it. Now, this doesn't make sense to me in the essence of picking red side, because you're blind picking the Nah anyway. But maybe there's some stabilization that's going to come through with the counter picks in the mid lane, because Elyoya has brought out the Bellwith. And by the way, he had close to the most perfect game you could have on this champion when he was playing against TRX.
Do you think this will be something that Saigon Buffalo have anticipated and have some sort of answer for? That is what we'll need to keep track of as this draft continues to play out. I'm not sure how I feel just yet about Ahmed on Gnar. Is something he's obviously very proficient on, but didn't have the impact was hoping for in the previous game, and we're going to see that Lissandra once again, this time flanked by Kai'Sa.
Yeah, hard CC makes it very difficult to play, and I guess Saigon Buffalo, they're going to keep it low accurate, with Kai'Sa being picked into Bel'Veth at least. Be familiar with it?
I am indeed, yeah.
Okay, well there you go, I don't have to explain it then. Now, in the mid lane instead, this is what I want. Last time, when they had this Bel'Veth, Nisqy brought out the Vex as well. He was really good at stabilizing the picks as well. You can stop the Hecarim at least. You can't stop the ultimate, but you can look for backline dives as well. Now, once again, Lockdown, really difficult to play into. In the Lissandra as well, there's definitely champions that can be picked apart by the Lissandra, by Froggy. So,
yeah,
just coming out as a blind pick, I think Froggy already realizes now, I'm never going to get punished by Nisqy here.
No, going to be very difficult to do so. I'm intrigued to see the tempo of this game. Bel'Veth, one of those champions that can thrive in prolonged team fights, that wants to bail up those stacks, ideally stay in that ultimate form. But the question is, will you stay alive long enough to do so? There's a lot of hard engaging CC already on the side. Saigon Buffalo, they're going to ban away the Camille, ban away the Seraphine. How do Mad Lions close this composition out now?
You know, the curveball I want to see from them is the fact that you'll have to counterpick on support instead. If you really want to take charge in a lane when you can't really do it on the other sides, lock in the Tristana. Play on the long range against the Kaiser. Smack her head level 2 and just jump on her, get a beneficial counter matchup. Or you go for the Misfortune as well. You give yourself what you tools to fight with in the team fights. Even Silver as well with extra speed up to fight against the Hecarim, but also give Belveth more sticking power. I think they have decently good tools to play around with.
What will they elect to go for? A couple seconds left here. Nautilus as well, the Callisto with the last 2 bans, biding their time to round out this composition. And I don't know how Mad Lions want to approach this. The thing I like about Game 1 and Game 2, Game 1, Saigon Buffalo were all about that bottom lane. Caitlyn Morgana, they got an advantage it wasn't in. Now, this time around,
that's a surprise.
There's a pivot going to be that Varus, Chain of Corruption, get that CC, lock people in place. Can combo well, but quite difficult to pull off.
Yeah, and also difficult to play up against backline dive. You're very immobile AD carry. It might even be to the point where they have to go Tam Kench to stabilize it, or Braum as well, depending on what actually comes out here. Obviously, you can play aggressive with it. If they lock in Rakan, Leona is a really good matchup into that. You can lock him down, and it's not going to be a problem. This could be really good adaptation, though, because if this Shen goes support, then you can't go for that aggressive option that I just mentioned.
You have to assume that is support, though, right? Combination. I mean, think about this combination now. When you consider, if Belveth jumps at any target, if somebody in the backline gets surprised and shut down, that's fantastic. And then the combination, the Nautilus plus, correction, Hecarim plus Shen engages are so powerful. What is the final answer here?
So in my head, I was like, okay, Mad Lions, they're most certainly looking for Leona, and I think that's the read Saigon had as well. That's why they locked in Shen, because the Shen W makes it so that Leona can't stop with a Q.
Yes.
Then on the other side, Nautilus has been banned as well by Mad Lions, so we go back to my initial point. Now they have to pivot to a Tam Kench.
Okay, I can understand entirely the look of the Saigon Buffalo composition. They've got a lot of tools to go forward. They've got a lot of tools for burst. How on earth is this Mad Lions composition going to work and play together?
I mean, it's just about getting lane priority. If you can move around Velyoya, make sure he gets set up for success, that's really what you're looking for. If you're ahead of the curve, it's going to look good. And I think what's good for Mad Lions in this game that they didn't have last game is the fact that the laners of Saigon Buffaloes are not looking to take charge in the kind of win lane, win game fashion we saw in the earlier game.
Yes.
And that definitely gives you more tools to play around with it. But then again, on the other side of Saigon, if they get ahead of the curve and they start invading Elyoya, his game is over.
I have this feeling that if Saigon Buffalo make this composition work, if they do not fall prey to Belveth, I don't know if Mad Lions have any other shots left in the revolver. Have Saigon Buffaloes downloaded? Have they figured out the Mad Lions? We're going to find out now as we load up onto Game 3. Both teams need to pick up 2 more wins to win the series and to advance to face Evil Geniuses for that final shot at groups. And as we so often feel and say and watch, it's going to be Elyoya as well as Niski having a huge impact on how this game plays out.
Now, Elyoya is one of the best, if not the best jungler in Europe. So having him on a champion like Belveth is definitely a side that you can feel more comfortable with. But then you see the bigger picture, and then that confidence kind of decreases a little bit. I think going into this game, Saigon Buffalo, they're feeling good. I'd feel good if I was them.
I'm going to absolutely love this composition. Let's hit Summoner's Rift for Game 3 between Saigon Buffalo and the Mad Lions. And in Game 3, our featured matchup is presented by Mercedes-Benz.
The fans love that.
That's it. Take a look at this now, as I need to keep track of, well, frankly, I'm just so much more excited when I see the Saigon Buffalo composition and how it can play out. And I am very intrigued to see both Almond and Niski making this Gnaw and Vex work as we keep an eye on the early stages of the game. BJ and Elyoya, I think, going to be very important to track, especially with Belveth in the jungle.
Yeah, so also worth noting is that with the lethal tempo on Unforgiven, we're not really looking for any of the AP shenanigans that you would usually see with Halo Blades. So he's definitely going down the AD route here, maybe on hit. Blade of the Ruin King could be a shout as well with the way that our team has been so prevalent in newer patches. And now actually Mad Lions, they're going to go back to a classic for them. They're going to go for a late invade. with a sweep as well. And this is good for setting up Elyoya in the beginning, starting him up ahead of the enemy jungler at least.
Gonna need that. You really want to accelerate, pick up that pace. Rift Herald's gonna be very crucial to track as well. But we'll need to watch and how and where respective players move around the map. Ahmed this time round, third champion in 3 games against Armut. Running into the Gnar. Game 1, wasn't able to get advantage with that Gwen. Game 2, he really ran away with it on the Vayne. And this time around, we'll now be sitting on the Lily as Elyoya already starting to move into the mid lane. Froggy is going to use that Glacial Path to safety, and it's good.
Yeah, but I like the timing though. So what Elyoya is going to do is he's saying, I split the map, so I'm going to move up to my top side so you can't fight for the red buff. Kaiser getting aggressive, might find a stun here on Taki.
Can he find it? Can he find it? The auto attack is blocked by Shogun. Tongue Lash does connect. All of a sudden, the Hail of Arrows forces out the flash, and Ignite is starting to burn down. Taki survives, but loses the flash.
That's the second time in a row on the Tahm Kench that Kaiser has been really good at finding an advantage in the laning phase.
At level 1, as soon as he stacks up, the ability to find that CC. Now on the bottom lane, BNJ's making his way down. Elyoya is trying to float there too. Devastating Charge is primed. Kaiser's going to flash away, take some damage. The Void Seeker will slow at least and put some damage down. Unforgiven continues to step forward. Here comes Elyoya, surging forward, landing those autos below 100 first blood with the Abyssal Dive. Kaiser's outside the range of the tower, but he gets chunked down by the Rampage. BNJ fancies himself a shot, steps forward. Another Q into the face of Unforgiven. Up in the top lane, Ahmed flashes for it. Gets the flash arm and no kill just yet. Down in the bottom lane, there's a kill secured on the Shogun. Elyoya and Unforgiven closes it out. 3 for 1 at 3 minutes.
Such a skirmish, could have gone either way, but that's the nature of our two teams. They're not willing to back down. They want to one-up each other. This time around, though, it just goes so that it favors Mad Lions.
What a start to the game. 1-0-2 for Unforgiven. And that invade from Elyoya started on the red buff of BNJ. Then he moved up, made it all the way down to the bottom lane. Look at your minimap. Elyoya is going to be here just in time.
And that's the path thing I actually want to talk about, because Elyoya kind of tricked the enemy. He walked through mid lane up towards the red side and then immediately beeline down towards the bot side. Because BNJ saw him move up towards the top side at first, he was just like, I can go bot lane for free. But this is where the ingenuity of Elyoya comes to play.
Very nicely done. You mentioned it. One of, arguably to some, the best jungler in Europe. That creative problem. We saw him walk across mid lane. And he doubles back, loops back.
That's a good flash.
Playing into the hands of Saigon Buffalo. Flashes were fantastic, and now Elyoya, backed up by Kaiser, will slash and lick their way to killing Taki for the second time. Belveth has 100% kill participation at 2-0-2 at 4 minutes.
He's just so good at this champion, but it's also such a credit to the team. You have junglers that are used to just play for the lanes, and then you have junglers where the lanes are used to play for them. Graves comes to mind. Belveth, also one of the champions. So the fact that Taki gets caught off guard there, I mean, it must have been great tracking from the side of Mad Lions. And Saigon Buffalo, they need to stabilize a bit, because they can't allow Elyoya to get ahead here. They have the tools to shut him down, but if he's too ahead of the curve, they're not going to have it at the right time. No flash on Hasmet, remember.
No flash for Armut, and BNJ is going to be far too late. Elyoya is looking for that Void Surge, and will easily secure another kill. 3-0-2. This Belveth is ahead of the curve. Goldborg.
They make it look so simple. He just walks around. It's not like anything crazy is happening. It's just, well, no flash on top lane. I'm just walking up here.
I think for that kill, I definitely think we shouldn't underplay that invade into double back, right?
Yes.
I would need to watch that back.
The first play is genius.
Just Giga
Afterwards that, he's just pathing up towards top lane and finding kills.
Does Giga Brain work? Can I say that? Does that make sense?
I mean, go for it. Giga Chat, Giga Brain, whatever it is, he'll own up to it.
Well, Mad Lions right now, plus 1,500 gold. 5 kills to 1. And we've seen the game played on both the bottom and the top lane. Froggy and Niski continue to just trade back and forth. Froggy's got a plus 10 CS advantage over Niski's Vex. And the Mad Lions stepping forward. That piercing arrow gets channeled up and will tag down Shogun. And once again, firing out that hail of arrows, just stepping forward as much as he can. Shogun and Taki under a lot of pressure because they conceded those decks.
Now, I'm a bot lane connoisseur, but I haven't seen Varus in a while. But the more I look at this matchup with Varus into Kaiser, the fact that you're able to abuse the fact you have longer auto attack range, you stack up your passive, and then you use your abilities to force her away from the minion wave, you can clearly see what the intention was for an Unforgiven, but picking this lane. And I think even stabilizing with the Tahm Kench, it's worked out wonders for them.
Something else to consider is the relatively short range of the rest of the Saigon Buffaloes. You know, Lilia, Hecarim, Lissandra, Shin. If they all group up for the engages, that chain of corruption can be hugely influential. Assuming we get to those team fights, it does mean it's at the cost or the risk of that low mobility. Kaiser did look to try push in that minion wave just a little, takes a turret shot for his troubles as Shogun returns to the lane with that Blight equivalent.
Now, how quickly do you want to start up with the neutral objectives? You want to stack up that deadly lavender.
Oh, Onslaught of Shadows forward. Void Surge 1 and 2 locked in place by that Glacial Tomb. First blood for the mid lane there. Correction, Froggy picking it up. And now all of a sudden, they're chasing. 4 members of the Buffaloes now chasing out. Flashing Cleanse is still available for Unforgiven. He's holding on to it and will get over the wall. And Taki is unable to land the taunt. Now in the top lane, Armored fancies himself a shot, fighting into the minion wave. Hazmed will find the sleep. The minions aren't going to do it just yet. The Otto and the Boomerang is sidestep. One more Otto is all it needs. No flash available. Swirl Sleeve will apply the slow. And Hazmed escapes.
Hazmed with the movement, dodges out on the Boomerang. Armored could have picked up a kill there, but Hazmed had his book there and gets away with it. But to go back to the play just before, this is the lockdown that the Saigon Buffalo composition have against Elyoya.
Elyoya, how far does he chase? He gets caught up by that Swirl Seed, and Hazmed's going to be able to just prance away to safety. Armored and Hazmed trading blow for blow. Game 1, Armored's way. Game 2, Hazmed's way. This one, no one yet able to stamp authority, and that Endless Banquet has now become unlocked. Taki's here to back up Elyoya. The minion wave is crashing in. Good ball.
They don't have the intel that Taki is there. They'll now spot at least the fact that Elyoya is around the corner, but I'm not sure he's anticipating the Shen.
Well, the engages come out. Elyoya forced to dash to safety.
That's a big knockup.
To that flash. Massive knockup from Kaiser. Niski's jumping forward. No ultimate available to him as here comes Armored. He can flash if he needs to. Another kill secured, this time in Niski's hand.
Yeah, and even better, that's going to be a free Rift Herald. Remember, when Belveth picks up the Eye of the Herald, or at least picks up the passive from it, she starts spawning a Voidling army in the minion waves. It's so easy to accelerate games with a Belveth, which is why picking up the first Herald and the second Herald is so crucial to make this pick work.
100% kill participation. The timing of that 1v1 between Armored and Hazmed could not have been better. We didn't watch the setup, but the fact that Armored was able to push Hazmed back as the Rift Herald spawned at 8 minutes to unlock the roam for Niski, the game plan was very clear, and it has netted yet another advantage as Elyoya stepping forward in the ultimate form. Not into the wall, knock up from above and beyond, and another easy kill. 4th one of the game. BJ's now stepping forward and will try to rampage his way to safety. Do they fancy another fight? Not just yet, not under the tower, not with Taki coming.
No, he's coming around there. That's the Onslaught of Shadows. Picks up the first one.
So much more burst than I was expecting. Elyoya's running away for his life.
Most certainly is. TP's coming in through Niski as well. He does have the ultimate available if he's looking for a snipe. But now he's going to back off.
Did not expect that damage from the devastating charge Onslaught Rampage, and they managed to pick up the kill. So Elyoya still 4-1-3.
Yeah, but it's good movement as well from Taki. But what can they get on the bot side now instead, seeing as this AD carry if left alone? For now, Shogun is just going to back away, and that would be the right call to do. But I so love the math movement coming out from Saigon Buffalo. They are ahead of making the moves every time.
And now on the flip side, with this Varus into Kaiser that you talked about, using those skills to push, the fact that Taki's not in lane either, it is currently a 12 CS advantage. A second plate here is about to be secured. Mad Lions extend that gold lead by 4,000. And we're at a kill a minute, and it's Mad Lions taking over the early game. Both teams just trading control of who's in charge of the game, and Niski with Elyoya making their way down bottom.
Good movement. Remember, no Hecarim ultimate available, so they see the engage.
And Shadow Surge comes out. BJ's running low. Elyoya's trying to use those surges back and forth. The Killer Instinct will reposition Shogun, and Niski has bitten off more than he can chew. Elyoya still has that flash available. The Chain of Corruption's already been used. Blooming Blows into Blooming Blows. The Abyssal Dive will get Kaiser out to safety for now, and in a 4v3, Armored still got the teleport available. Unforgiven's got no more mana. The Piercing Arrow didn't find the kill, and those Blooming Blows are doing so much work. That is a dead Unforgiven, and the kill is donated to Shogun.
Great TP counter response came through from Hazmed as soon as saw the play come down, and with good vision control as well, that gave Saigon the intel to move around with. They can now pick up the kills, pick up the Dragon. They're losing out on a few plates on the top side, but all in all, you shut down Mad Lions, who was in a huge gold lead.
I mean, it's going to be still a deficit. It is still significant, 3,000, but more importantly, I think to zoom out, And Gulbuk, talk about the fact that Mad Lions as a team, I think Lyric on the disc said that they wouldn't be out of place in the VCS or the LPL. They like to go all in, they like to fight. They started that invade, they started that fight, they got punished, but Alyoya is going to pick up a lot of places in the tower.
That's a guy right now saying that I don't care about my laners. I'm going to be the one 1v9ing this game. Picks up solo first gold by himself.
1,400 gold in the lead. Armor's looking for Hazmed.
Definitely is still. No CC connecting, and Hazmed, he keeps going with the movement speed.
Yep, picking it up. Lilia is doing very well. Mini Nas are available, waiting for that hop. Couple seconds left to go. The hyper's up. 300 hit points. Hazmed, Blooming Blow, Bonk, Swirl Seed. One more Blooming Blow, maybe all be needed. And Hazmed gets the solo kill.
And there you have it. Hazmed in these two games has really had Armut's number in terms of finding the kills. First on the Vayne, now on the Lilia. And the Narmut not working out.
No, it's not. It's going to be Lilia and the team play of Saigon to try and slow down and shut down Alyoya. Now, let's not forget the fact it's still a 4,000 gold lead. Is the same statement true for this composition as the previous? That win lane, win game for Mad? Is this enough of an advantage?
I wouldn't say so, because that in this game it's so different in terms of how they function, because of how the CC is applied as well on the guy with the biggest gold lead. Like, majority of your gold lead is on Alyoya. He's very easy to shut down with the CC that you have applicable. But also just, I ask you just, when we're watching this game, does it really feel like Mad Lions in a 4K gold lead?
No, it doesn't feel that way. Primarily because of that 4K, nearly 2,000 is in the jungle. So when the laners are trading back and forth, they're about even. We saw the gold on screen just a minute ago.
It's a really good pickup there.
As it stands, Gorborg, Mythic picked up here for both Binjay and Shogun, as well as Niski. So waiting for the rest of the players to start picking up that itemization. And we have to just track, how does Alyoya position, how well does he get set up? Because there is a fair amount of CC, but it's, I think, a lot more difficult to land. The Gnaw, the Fear coming out of Vex, you know, Chain of Corruption, the Knockup, they can work. But in contrast to Onslaught of Shadows, plus the Swirl Seed and the Sleep, I think it's a lot easier to apply that crowd control. The point and click Lysandra in the middle lane from Saigon Buffalo.
You know what? I'd agree with that statement.
I'm so glad. That's next level, you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. But I also think a lot of it goes down to how Saigon has been able to use these tools so far. Because despite that they're losing out, you can even see now they're trading halves of the map. Not in terms of their own blue side and red side, but in terms of just like riding it down the mid lane with that line. I take the top side, you take the bot side. This is how we're going to play the game now.
Let's also find out how Taki's Stand United begins to influence this game. If Alyoya is trying to set up a play, the combination of that Stand United while backed up by the Shadow Dash, and then you go, you know, Hecarim or even Kai'Sa engaging, there's a lot of tools and ways in which they can get to Niski, get to Unforgiven. If you deal with one of those options, well, then you can just focus Alyoya in a numbers advantage. And right now, Binjay's there. I am tracking to see what happens in the middle lane. It looks like Alyoya's catching that wave as Mad Lions are on a recall.
And while most people will obviously look at Shen and think well, it's going to be Stand United to really make sure we can save teammates. The best one to really have is the offensive one, where you can set it up. You can be in the bot lane, help out your AD carry, and then all of a sudden be on the top side to just assist with a tempo play.
Well, listen, look at the minimap here. 15 minutes in, Mad Lions recalled back, picked up a couple more items. With Rifthold on its way soon, starting to make their way into the river. And you can see top lane was pushed in, so Armwood's catching their wave. Thank you, observers. Highlighting the minimap. Binjay, does he come in from behind? Does he want this fight? I think he does. But will it be too late? Alyoya is using that Void Surge to move around the middle lane. Here comes Binjay, lining up the Onslaught of Shadows and holds onto the trigger.
Yeah, they do. Mad Lions still only 4 members in the mid lane. Armwood was on the top side, clearing up the waves. Now he's coming through with a teleport, and they can go on Hazmed here.
This is in the river. Hazmed's going forward, looking for the blooming. Is going to put everyone to sleep with that lilting lullaby. At least 2 members. That's locking in place onto Alyoya. Glacial Tomb won't be enough to kill him just yet. Alyoya gets the kill onto Binjay. Saigon were disrupted in dealing damage.
And that's the second time in a row this happens right before you want to go for the second Rift Herald. They can open up the mid lane. They can beeline up towards that top side where they can pick up the Herald for themselves and further extend the lead with the Rift Herald coming through from Alyoya and the passive he gets from it.
Mad Lions 5,000 gold up. It is still 100% kill participation. That Valvet that was in the first rotation of picks, Mad Lions is absolutely in control. And I know we've talked so much about the crowd control and the team. So if we get a replay of this, break down for me why or how Saigon was pushed away to prevent them actually killing Alyoya, because like it looked to me like they could have, but
I was really looking for it as well, yeah. And I'm glad you want to highlight it too, because I do as well. Initially, it's a good disengage lead coming out from Aspen, right? Flashes in, kind of reminds you of a speaker. This time around, though, Cleanse is available for Unforgiven. This is the big one. Elyoya gets knocked in twice through CC from Froggy, but the follow-up is only there once the CC has been applied, and they're not able to layer it. Because they're not able to layer it, well, they're just sending BJ into his own death afterwards.
Well, that allows Elyoya to pick up yet more kills. Managed to get that chem tank as well, so another tool to enable him moving forward.
Look at the bot lane wave currently being pushed in here, so they get mid lane priority. They can move down towards the bot side. Niski is escorting in a wave. They still have the Rift Herald available, and they can pick up more gold with the Voidlings coming through as well.
I'd like you to keep an eye on the minimap for me, Goldborg. Let's look at how Saigon Buffalo fend off this pressure. I have felt as though Mad Lion's warding for the last 5 or so minutes has been pretty solid. They've had deep wards. You can see the observers highlighting it inside the jungle of Saigon Buffalo. Led by Mad Lion.
Dramatic.
Will just get caught out. And I mean, that is obliteration on hit points. Face checking into a jungle that's not yours. The bottom lane was just being pushed by Mad Lions. The route from the chain of corruption. Froggy's going to self-cast the ult. The damage is going to come out.
And it's certainly not going to be enough. Froggy gets out of there. Shogun gets in!
Oh, the Acanthian Rain! Shogun making the play, but at what cost? All of the surges being used. A flash forward from Unforgiven. Armage pulling Husband and Froggy away. Elyoya is now looking for more. That banquet is endless, and he is hungry. Froggy goes down as Unforgiven that picks up the kill. The Rift Herald is going to do so much work. This is the second Herald, and it's going to be able to get another charge off.
In Game 2, bot lane inhibitor was broken open at 17 minutes into the game. In Game 3, 18 minutes of standing, but Rift Herald goes down, and Mad Lions, they're going to keep the inhibitor up as well at the same time. I think that's the correct choice, but overextension starts out by Cyclone Buffalo. Afterwards, it becomes a turret defense. And while it's a great pickup from Shogun initially, once the rest of the team fight plays out, Mad Lion still has the lead.
And I mean, don't forget that, what's it, BJ, that face checked, you know, into that red buff, into the darkness. We just saw the bottom lane being pushed by Niski, and it was a decision that was punished. And now BJ and Taki stepping forward once more. No ways. Do they fancy another engage? Kaiser will just spot them out, and we're playing for Hextech Rift.
Hextech Drake up and available. Now, I think you want to look for the resets, but this is the big one you're talking about. Like, look at the pink wards as well. You're not allowed to walk in here. You can't get this vision. At best, you have the Raptor ward, and you have the ward next to the Cisco bush. Outside of that, it's not really available. Sorry, I don't know what to call it. There was a flag there. It's the Cisco bush.
That's awesome.
Give me a raise for the marketing as well at the same time.
Awesome. There we go. We'll let the producers know. 21 days of epicness. And it is followed on day 5 right now. I mean, this team fight, I got to give some credit here to Shogun.
Shogun's amazing.
He saw the opportunity and took it. Ultimately, Mad Lions had more tools. Also so far ahead that he gets punished again, because it is still an over-aggressive move, right? Because the rest of the team stuck with it.
This is what I found so funny, because Elyoya didn't want to go into combat and potentially lose out on the Rift Herald. He used it before going into the fight. Armored goes down to taking a tower shot too much, but outside of that, they're still super happy about the situation. And gold lead now, 8k in the lead of Mad Lions.
Still
Saigon looking to play defense in their own jungle, but they can't really do it.
It's still 100% kill participation. That single champion is taking over, especially when you look 1-3-3, 1-1-3, 2-1-3, 1-2. If it's not Elyoya, it is not happening. He truly is the Mufasa of this prize.
You know what? It's really curious to me. This is the first time I actually see the Chemtech coming through for the Velvet. Usually we see a Frozen Fist be the one just to stick on your targets. This time around, though, I think he realizes that he needs something to bridge the gap between the champions that have so much movement speed, like the Lilia, like the Kaiser. Baron has been started off. Mad Lions have lost it before with a Velvet.
They are not sticking to it now. They have peeled. In terms of initiation, Armored is in Mega Gnar. Great vision. You see the boulder toss. Tagging on to Taki.
Curious to see that Change of Corruption still up and available. If Unforgiven wants to look.
Glacial Path wasn't followed. Chain of Corruption starts to spread. 2 members locked in place. 2 members dead. Unforgiven deletes the pony and the horse. And now Froggy is going to fall. Popped. Triple kill for Unforgiven. That should be the Baron.
It's just as simple as that. Cyclone walks 5 members into the Valley of Death in the mid lane. Only 2 makes it out. And now Baron on the cards for Mad Lions. Unforgiven makes it look easy with 1 Chains of Corruption.
Oh, really nicely done. Saigon, I think, the right idea. Push that mid wave. Try to pull Mad Lions towards you. Threaten that tower. Saigon Buffaloes have not taken a single tower as of yet, by the way. And now Mad Lions will pick up the Baron. They have absolute control of this game, and it is their third to lose.
Yeah, I was surprised the Chains of Corruption didn't come out earlier, because Taki was really overextending himself as well. But it's the CC chain. It's coming through. You get the fear as well from Niski. You have the knock-up from Elyoya. There's the same kind of CC that can be applied that Saigon has, but when you're ahead, it's so much easier for Mad Lions to apply it.
That's the second time in about 4 minutes that I think the Buffaloes have been overconfident or ignored the darkness. You know, they got caught in the red buff stepping forward. They're in the river. They knew Mad One Baron, and I understand you have to check. But they've got to be a little bit more careful, figure out a different answer of stepping into the darkness.
And let's be real, we're 22 minutes into the game in just a bit. We have an 11k gold lead for Mad Lions. It's hard to keep a focus on Saigon here because they're playing so much on the back foot at this point in times. They have the tools, where they have the CC we've been talking about the entire time, and this is really all they can do. But if they take a full-on 5 versus 5, they will just lose to Mad Lions.
Yeah, and that's why you have to be so careful of that darkness. So even if you stand toe-to-toe, even if you step into the darkness, like, the night is dark and full of shadows. Saigon Buffalo rooted up in place. That's the engage. It's not 5v5, it's 4v4. Kaiser escapes with his life. Teleport's coming in from behind, but will the fight be over already? Mad Lions going forward. Niski surges with the shadows. Froggy is running for his life, and he will not be able to escape just yet. Armut's looking to run him down. Hasmid's trying to run interference. Swirlseed comes out. The boulder toss is sidestepped. The rest of Mad Lions are inside the base.
They most certainly are, but they're still looking for a fight here for some reason. They're looking for it.
Armut escapes for now. Kaiser goes golden. Killer instinct from Shogun. He finds himself just one, and Hasmid's the last man standing. The Pride of Lions are inside the base and looking for the Nexus.
Void Queen shuts down the Kaiser. They're ramping in towards the Nexus turret, and Mad Lions, they strike back in the third game.
Elyoya takes down Saigon with Mad Lions at his back. With the Nexus falling, Mad Lions go 2-1 up over the Saigon Buffaloes. It is over just yet. Will it happen? Yes, it does. 2-1, Mad Lions.
And it's a good way to come out with a victory here, because after that second game, it felt like Mad Lions had gotten their comfort, and they had just straight up lost to Saigon. It looked like Saigon had figured them out, but they bring in that curveball. They bring in what is about to be a signature pick for Elyoya at this World Championship with the bell there.
Picks and bans becomes very interesting. Saigon will get side selection for this next game. I'm interested to see what will be prioritized. That Hecarim has been influential, but even more so, if there is an answer to this approach, have Saigon figured it out? I posed the question at the beginning of Game 3, did Saigon figure Mad Lions out? And this one is just, I think, a pop-off Belveth performance.
I mean, I think Saigon could have gone into this and still had a good time. I think the problem really arose when Elyoya just picked everything up in the early game.
Yeah.
Remember that 2v2 skirmish where everyone was just fighting? That could have gone both ways.
That is so important, actually. I forgot about that 4 minutes, 2v2 for 1 in the bottom lane. While our teams are readying up for match point, we're heading over to State Farm Analyst to break that one down.
I don't know what just happened up there on the caster desk. Yeah. Welcome back to the State Farm Analyst Desk.
Was that Belvath sound effects?
Oh, maybe that's what it was. Yeah. That's Belveth spawning all our little void monsters that nobody understands how they work.
Also, this is a tiger.
Oh, good. I'm glad you. I like that. I like this. Jat wanted to make sure that the audience knows that we're not stupid.
Yeah.
We know that that's a tiger and not a lion, but it was the closest thing we had in this studio to a lion. Yeah. So we grabbed it. Because why not? Let's dress the setup. Okay, so for as dominant a game 2 as Saigon Buffaloes put up, Mad kind of just stepped up and showed them they can do the same.
Yeah, Mad got pissed off after game 2. He knew that the second the Belveth came in, first rotation of red side, and I mean, hell, Elyoya had an amazing game on it. Pretty much single-handedly took over the game.
Yeah, single-handedly did it. Absolutely.
Yeah, I would say even the last 2 games, though, explosive bottom lane fights that seemingly decide the game. It was so one-sided for the side of Mad Tigers this game that it didn't seem like there was much coming back. The Shen support was already a bit of a reach for a pick. If it does get ahead, it's very effective, but if you fall behind on that support pick, it's very difficult to come back. And just this whole extended engagement went so heavily in the favor of Mad.
Yeah, and you know, it comes right off of Jat sending us down the rabbit hole where we did find out Cape Buffaloes do actually kill more lions than vice versa. But, yeah, this game did not go that way. I do want to say,
Statistically, is it two lions killed
I
per
feel
buffalo?
like if
What is
BJ lands that one Hecarim Q that hit no one, he probably gets the double kill.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it feels like had that gone differently, I feel like this could have been a different game for Saigon Buffalo. Then maybe you're the ones being the aggressor, the Hecarim's going in, he's bringing the Shen, the Kai'Sa's able to jump in and follow up, kind of what their composition hinged on. But once Matt found that early lead, we just saw Elyoya at Mad Lions consistently invading Saigon Buffalo's jungle and really never gave them a lease of life, because when you look at Buffalo's comp, it's definitely one that it needs to be the one starting the fights, wants to be on the front foot.
I think it's important that Mad Lions have showcased here in the third game that they don't need to have Elyoya on that Hecarim. It can be taken away. He can jump to something like the Bel'Veth. They can still be successful. If I'm to point at something that actually concerns me, even in a victory for Mad Lions, it is this reliance on Gnar. And seeing the Lilia come out in response and how it can be played and navigate some of these team fights, it concerns me for a more even game state where we get that same top lane matchup. Like, yes, the Gnar wasn't necessarily pressed in this game because he didn't have to be, or didn't have to be the catalyst for a victory, but we saw in those couple scenarios in a 1v1 in the side lane, Lilia's winning out, and that's a matchup that I could see starting to warp.
As well.
Yeah.
I mean, we even see the damage numbers, right? Not really a huge part in terms of taking the game over. The other members really stepping up, especially, again, kind of surprisingly, Niski, big damage dealer, just overarchingly coming into planes where we sold him is, again, the facilitator, the one who pushes and moves, where he's been the highest damage share for the side of Mad Lions.
I like this. 2 lions.
Now there's 2 lions.
To 1 buffalo. That's the updated series score.
Well, and now they have a better shot, because as we've learned, it takes generally more than 1 lion to take down a buffalo, but it only takes 1 buffalo to take down a lion.
A pride of lions can beat a Cape Buffalo.
Right.
But, you know, in a 1v1.
We did an unnecessary amount of Googling
we did.
during the last game in this this segment here, just to get up on our our Buffalo v Lion knowledge. Now, when it comes to the top performer in this most recent game, the 1+ OP player of the game is, of course, Elyoya on that Bel'Veth. While he may not have eclipsed Niski in damage, I believe he did in kills and got so much done in the early game, really accelerating the pace of the game.
Yeah, 8, 1, and 10, constantly invading the enemy jungle. I feel like this is his second insanely good Bel'Veth game in a row, if you count the one yesterday against DRX where they couldn't quite finish it. 95% kill participation.
Bel'Veth was your crystal ball pick
for
highest win rate?
5 games played needs to have the win rate. If
Highest win rate. It's lost 1 and won 2, correct?
I think it's 1-1. I think Elyoya's only played it twice, right?
He's played it twice. Didn't he win both games?
No, he lost.
Or no, he lost it. Oh, so that was the loss I'm attributing. Okay,
But with
so
how
it's
well
50-50.
he plays it, just keep it going.
Yeah.
This makes me also want Mad Lions to stay in the tournament as long as possible. So I am conflicted. But
let's talk about game number 4. If we want to see this go all the way to 5, it's on Saigon Buffaloes to make it happen. They will have side select again. They are going to go to blue side this time around, if what I'm reading in the prompter is correct, and it looks to be so.
Yeah.
So what do you make of that move, Lyric, given the fact that they only when they found is on red and just took a hard loss from the blue side?
I'm just convinced now that Saigon Buffalo are just hyping themselves up and egoing themselves like, wait, we lost on this side? We don't lose on this side and have to run it back. And it kind of goes to the same thing, I feel like, as last game, where I don't actually hate Saigon Buffalo's composition. Like, it has a clear identity of what it wants to do. It's kind of like the reverse of what happened for Mad last time around, right? Where
would you run it back? Same exact 10 champions.
I don't know if I'd run it back.
Okay, what do you change?
I feel like things like the Shen are still kind of like niche enough to where you want to pull it out once, see if you get that win. But
okay, what's that? What's a better support pick?
I feel like maybe you go away from the Hecarim.
Ooh.
I would probably keep first pick Hecarim. I need to check their bans again, switch something else to the Bel'Veth fan, because that wouldn't have been successful.
I love BJ on the Maokai.
I actually don't mind what Saigon Buffalo has done with side select this series. So we can see there it was Silas.
Right. So I suspect Mad won't let that Maokai go through, being on the red side. And so to your point, Jat, maybe a first pick Hecarim, but then ban the Bel'Veth so that he's forced further down.
Well, I definitely know that it's easier to know what you want to change in draft after a loss than after a win.
Okay.
So the strategy of, if we lose a game, let's just stay on the same side. Because normally you say, like, oh, you lost, you better switch something up. But it's worked for them once before in this series where they lost red side, then picked red side to win on red side. So I actually don't mind them sticking, like, even though they're flip-flopping the side that they actually want to play, staying on blue side because they clearly have something in mind that they want to tweak.
Trying to figure out what other bands they could drop on the side of Saigon Buffalo. Like, I'm wondering about that Aatrox. I know it's got 100% presence throughout the tournament, but I'm almost wondering if you should be either forcing Mad to consider banning it or just picking it up for yourself.
I kind of wonder as well, right? You would assume that Mad Lions would have to go for it if it's up instead of the Gnar, but at the same time,
there's a lot of Gnar skins left.
Exactly, it's still Armut, so maybe you just get Aatrox for yourself.
That's a good point. We didn't consider how much deeper Armut's
champion pool is.
Yeah, it's something like 24 champions deep.
Yeah.
In this series, he's played 2 different versions of Gnar.
He hasn't even.
He's apparently got 2 games on like Dino Gnar. So unfortunately, he's doubled up once. But I'm wondering where else he could go. What do you think? Does Gentleman Gnar stand more of a chance against a Buffalo than a Dinosaur Gnar? I would actually imagine Dino Gnar beats Buffalo.
It should. And last game he was on Galaxy Gnar.
Yes.
Which is just more technologically advanced.
Oh, true.
So I think he should stick with that.
Yeah, ain't no Buffaloes reaching the
draft
Galaxy.
meetings must be so easy with Armut. Be like, okay, what do you want here?
Well, okay, you say it's easy, but is it easy, or is it actually something that we should start considering as a limiter? Like, does he seem reliant on it? Are we worried that they're always reaching for it? Is that indicative that they feel like that's the only pick they have in the top end? Like, there's a serious question about Gnar moving away from the skins themselves.
I don't know how concerned they obviously don't seem too concerned in this series. I mean, definitely if they were playing like an RNG or a DRX,
you need more options.
Exactly. Like, I mean, you're just going to get steamrolled. And I mean, heck, if Hasmed again has things like the Vayne, I think it can be a consideration of like, hey guys, we actually need more.
All right. Well, we'll find out soon enough whether or not it'll be a 4th Gnar game for Armut, and we'll see if the Buffalo have what it takes to tie up the series and keep their world's hopes alive. Game number 4, right after this.
Don't ever say it's over if I'm breathing. Racing to the moonlight and I'm speeding. I'm headed to the stars, ready to go far and start walking.
Run me my money. Run me my money. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Big Bad money maker, working hard for all this paper. Check my stats, I'm kinda major. Can't nobody do it greater. I can make your body rock. I'm the boss, I call the shots. Doesn't matter what it costs, baby. No, I got it. I'm forever popping like the hot grease in the pan. Gotta make them understand. I don't never need no man. I'm a INDEPENDENC chick. Yeah, you haters think you slick. Got it all, never fall. I'm the one they always call. Spin the stack up at the mall. They say I'm the greatest, y'all. I bring all the flavor, yeah. I bring all the heat. If you ain't trying to get money, baby, you can have a seat, yeah. Run me my money. Yeah, run me my money. 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 Yeah, look, they don't want no smoke cause they know I got the vapor. Keeping all my jewelry on me tighter than a taper. I be on my ballin' tip harder than the Lakers. Do nothing for low, I don't do no favors. Came from the bottom, busting out the bag. I'm the girl
Welcome back to Worlds 2022 Play-ins Knockouts. Mad Lions are 2-1 up over the Saigon Buffaloes. We're a couple minutes away from what could be Buffalo's last game at the World Championship. And to summarize how the game has played out so far, the team that has had side selection has won their respective games. And it's been decided within the, first 5 to 8 minutes, I think.
I definitely think that's the case of this game so far, because it just feels like whoever got ahead with the early game lead just never really fell behind. Like, you take a look, game 1, Mad Lions was running away with it. Game 2, the Vayne top win lane win game kind of thematic. Game 3, that bot lane fight, that let Yoya get a few leads as well, went into the mid lane, went up towards the top side, picked up a kill. Like, they just don't slow down when they get a lead. And I think it goes down to how these two teams actually function as teams, right? They're teams that like to be ahead. They're teams that like to drive the tempo of the game. And if suddenly you don't have that ability, it seems like it's hurting them a lot.
The thing that I love about that point you just made, Gulborg, is that the team that gets the lead, the team that accelerates the pace of the game, proactive, they play on the front foot, all three of the games we've seen have been pretty clean wins once the team got that advantage, right? I think it is fair to say, in contrast to the play-ins games, both of these teams have stepped up a gear. Now, the question is, with the pressure on Saigon Buffalo, again, the youngest team here at the World Championship, facing down Mad Lions, facing down Match Point, what do you think they want to prioritize or change for the draft? They banned Aatrox on blue side. Do they leave that open? Is that something Hazmet even wants to play? You know, if you know or you assume Nah is going to be the option here.
The fun thing about that is that you don't need Aatrox to beat Armored. At this point, that may
very
sound
valid point.
That might sound very harsh right now, but that's just what's happened so far, right? Second is, I think the Kaiser pickup blind was really random because you couldn't really play the game through bot lane, through Shogun. He had his moments in the mid to late game and some of the team fights while behind, but I think, for example, you slammed that Misfortune, which he already performed super well in game 2.
Yeah.
You just have a bot lane that works for you.
What I will say as well, both times the teams have picked red side, so Saigon in game 2, Mad Lions in game 3. The last rotation picks, the Vayne on 10 for Saigon Buffalo, and then the Varus on 7. It ended up being very influential. Multiple times, those Chain of Corruptions had enough crowd control to allow the Belveth to pick up the win. So that like death ball that had put together from the side of Saigon Buffalo got punished.
Yeah, I mean, you can only give credit to the adaptability there was. That was a lot of questions marks when we saw that Varus, me included, because I didn't know how it was going to function, but it turned out to function really well. And that's why I'll go back to the point where I said that Misfortune, that may rise in the priority. Mad Lions might even know this themselves and pick Misfortune on 1-2 instead of picking them now on 1-2.
Now, is Mad Lions going to have another option available to them? We saw the Hecarim, successful in game 1, not successful in game 2. We saw the Belveth successful here. It worked pretty well against DRX until the Baron throw. Is there any other blueprints? Is there anything else that we can do here?
Yeah, surely. Like, I mean, you can always just go for blind Sejuani. That's like never really going to be an issue. Maokai is away from the cards.
Maokai's huge as well.
Yeah, I mean, Maokai will just have to be banned on red side. You don't give that over. I think Mad Lions have realized this for themselves. And that's what you can allow yourself to do in a best of 5. You can experiment a little bit. They did that, and I think they realized that if Silas is banned, we cannot play into Maokai.
We'll find out now what the teams have decided. Will Silas, Maokai, Aatrox, Draven, will they find themselves on the ban pool? We have not changed those first bans once again. Aphelios as well as Draven removed from the pool.
Yeah, so it's just going to be Caitlyn as well as the follow-up here from Mad Lions like they had in the game of before. And then Maokai on 3 like we saw. Are they feeling a need to adapt again out of nowhere? But no, they're just going to stick with the formula that worked for them just before. And they're going to ban the Caitlyn.
Yeah, there's the Silas banned away once again.
What?
As well as the Gnar. Removing that. That is an interesting choice. So does that mean, are they forcing the Aatrox ban and maybe want to prioritize that for first pick? Is that how you read that?
I think you still ban away the Maokai. I mean, I'm actually not sure.
Yeah.
It's like 2 options that you really don't like. And now they're going to say, damn it, we have to ban the Aatrox.
Did not expect that, and finally the Kalista is now locked in. It's going to be Shogun running this one in the bottom lane. 8 games played this year.
Now, this is what we expected from the get-go because the Draven kept being banned. Now, Mad Lions, throughout the course of the tournament, have not played a single game of Maokai. And I think this is where Sycon Buffalo is saying, match parent, we don't care. We'll call your bluff. You won't play Maokai. We'll still have it available. So they pick up the Kalista for themselves. That can allow them to play aggressive in the bot side. And now the question is, from the side of Mad Lions, are you grabbing a Misfortune into it? Is that what you want to do to stabilize it? Make it rain can make her life a little miserable. You have good damage percentage into the Kalista as well at the same time. But no, Unforgiven is going to stick with what worked the last game, and he's going to go on that Varus.
I wonder as well if that is...
Wow.
Oh, Pantheon, not banned. It's locked in now. So that is secured for B&J. That will be the first time that he's played it at the World Championship. He's got 5 games played, 4 of them are wins from the VCS. And I think when I look at the Varus, one of the signals they said to me was, be aware, if you're thinking about that kind of Hecarim option, you will have that Chain of Corruption to lock you in place.
And so many times, Pantheon has been banned out against B&J. This time around, he finally gets it. Paired up with a Talia in the mid lane, where the combo just goes. Pantheon walks into lane, he stuns you, and Talia doesn't combo. That's how simple it is. Now, the adaptation coming through from Armut is going to be that on up towards the top side. I think that's beneficial for Mad Lions. I think having Armut on with long range engage is super good for them. Now you can ban away some of the things you don't want to play against. Gwen is one of them. Camille can be another one. And then you're just going to default into, well, here's my mid laner into the Talia. We save counter pick for support on 5.
What do you want to run into these globals? Because when you start thinking about the range, the semi-globals with the range of engage that Pantheon and Talia can offer, and the fact that you still don't know what Taki's going to run in this bottom lane when comboed up with that Fate's Call from Kalista, that is a lot of engage tools already on the side of Sycon Buffalo. Not to be dissuaded, Call of the Forge God plus Chain of Corruption is great primary and secondary. So, just like we've seen from all the other games, these teams like to play forward, like to play aggro, and like to make their first move.
I don't think Niski would do this, but I think champions like Asir functions really well into this. You're longer range than pretty much all of them. You have disengage in your kit. You can go for Crown of the Shattered Queen, so you won't have to be worried about the fact that you get comboed up. But with Yumi left available, and Renata back away from the Kalista.
If that gets locked in, the Lost Chapter is so powerful. And again, think about the crowd control. Think about the options available to Mad Lions.
Oh, wow.
Instead, they're going to go for the Vex, which did work very well in Game 3 when comboed with the Belveth and managing to, again, follow up secondary engage after the Yawn can work
So the
well.
thing with at least the Vex is that she can knock down the Pantheon whenever he comes around for the stun, right? That's a thing you can look for. The problem that you have is that you're also fairly short range, so even if you knock down the Pantheon, any slows coming through from any Mumble members could be dangerous. But Hasmid again, trying to remain aggressive on the top side. The only worry I have right now from Sycon is, do we have too many things to play for? You have a Pantheon and Talia. You can get mid lane pressure, you can move that around the map. But if you move it towards one side of the map, how's the other side gonna look? Because you have 2 carries to play for. The Fiora, the Kalista, the pick coming through from the bot lane of Taki. It is gonna be that set.
My word! So there's only 2 games of Fiora played by Hasmet all year long. He didn't win a single one of them. It is another game in a row, Gulborg. There's a champion locked in the side lane that can take over that side lane, that can push. I think the Lilia obviously wants to team fight just a little bit more, but the final lock-in here will be Kaiser in on Alistar. So zoom out, how do these compositions want to win the game?
There is definitely team fighting tools available to Mad Lions. That's how you win the game. You can already see the picture that you have. Chains of Corruption. Alistar that goes in. On that goes in. not Velvet, but the Vex on top of it. But on the side of Saigon Buffalo, you have a few more tools. You have an early game through bot lane you can play for. You have a combo in the mid lane to try and shut down Niski. And you have a side lane win condition. It's very fluid in terms of what it can do, but I think if they are even and they straight up decide to teamfight Mad Lions, they'll probably lose. So they have to play around some of the finicky win conditions they have in their team comp.
I also think the level of risk when engaging for Saigon Buffalo is significantly higher. Long range Ornn, long range Chain of Corruption. Wait to see if Vex can have something to follow up on. That means you're not throwing your body at a fight, which is what Pantheon, Fiora, and Set want to do.
Cross mapping and movement coming through is going to be really crucial to have a look at, because if Mad Lions is overforcing bot side, Saigon's going to be overforcing on top side, where you're doing these semi-globals just to rain down on Armored immediately.
And I think both teams have had pretty good wave management, side lane control. They've played the map relatively in the games that they've won. When you think about the vision and the fights, even in game one when Mad Lions picked it up, the one big team fight Saigon had won was because they'd set up a chain of events to force that fight to the mid lane.
And what about the storyline we just had before, where it's like this game, it was all the games we've had so far in the series have been decided in the early game in terms of who actually take it. No team has come back yet. It has just been stomp after stomp after stomp. This might be a little different.
Well, let's find out, because both teams have the tools to continue stomping if they get ahead. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5! Shogun will just spot them out and throw up the Teemo thumbs up. Taking a look down the keystones, nothing jumping out for me as of yet.
1 Buffalo, 2 Buffalo, 3 Buffalo on the top side, just gaining some vision control. Keep that tracking going on Elyoya, very important when you're playing into a champion like the Bel'Veth.
In the previous game, Bel'Veth was able to pick up a kill in the topside jungle just before the first Rift Herald spawned. It was set up because Hazme committed to a fight with Armored, kind of got chunked out, forced away, and then was down low. That first Rift Herald for a champion like Bel'Veth is so important.
They might be anticipating an early invade. At least that's why they put so many members up here, should someone actually come in and face check. You can even see it with Kai'Sa and Unforgiven up there. But Saigon, they're just going to carry back here. They're not going to show any intel whatsoever. BJ is solo starting the blue buff, while the bot lane of Saigon Buffalo is actually trying to get aggressive down the bot side to potentially get a level 1 all-in.
So let's talk about the fact that Saigon Buffalo have a number of lanes that they can or they want to play for. What would you prefer to see from them? As you can see, Fiora top, Talia mid, and the Kalista separate.
You can 2v2 in the bot lane if you know the jungler isn't around. And watch out for Taki just flashing out of nowhere. He's got Hex Flash, and he's going to look to go all-in whenever he gets the chance.
Okay, stepping forward already, challenging the first wave. We'll get that pull back into Kai'Sa and instantly get headbutt to safety, but Shogun will be able to pick up the first couple of minions.
Yeah, so the other thing, of course, is that mid lane, right? You have to Talia with the Pantheon combo. You come in and get the stun, Niski just gets CC'd up. Afterwards, you can use that priority to move it elsewhere on the map. You don't want to just slam everything into mid lane. You want to gain priority, and you want to put that priority elsewhere.
I think when you consider that both Pantheon and Talia can have such a fast reaction once they get their ultimates, I love that idea. Get Froggy ahead, then work with Froggy to get Hazmed or Shogun ahead, and then they can close the game out for you. Let's see whether or not that plays out. Niski is eating a lot of those mines for now. Drop down to below half. He got a great poke down earlier, but all 3 lanes pushing into Mad Lions for now.
Yeah, and that's not the best when you have a Bel'Veth that wants to stabilize in the jungle. I think you see it now, BJ, he's actually going to utilize this. He's going to get aggressive. Who can back up Elyoya? Who can facilitate BJ here? Now Froggy already on the move.
Holding on to that shield vault. That will be some very important crowd control. Stepping in, no camps to clear, but look at that. Look at the movement from Buffalo. That is exactly what you talked about in terms of the draft.
Yeah, but good pathing as well for Elyoya. So he knew he was spotted on the red buff. He just did red buff, and then ignored his Raptors, ignored his Crocs, and went straight down to fully clear his blue side, and then off towards the top lane. That actually managed, or made him manage to not get invaded like we just saw with BJ. That was the extra momentum. Had he done Raptors, he would have probably died with the members coming in.
Right now, Elyoya is looking to pick up a kill, looking to make Hazmed die, but there is a very good ward. And a great spot, Goalboard. You called it in the previous game as well. Elyoya's double back. He picked up enemy red, crossed mid, and then looped all the way around his own blue. That is what allowed Elyoya to be in position at the right time to pick up those 4-minute kills. Unforgiven, respecting the pullback. He flashes away to safety. Shogun will use that cleanse and look at the river. Pantheon is making his way down.
And just like that, again, like Vultures, but Unforgiven has done a great job at trading damage back on Shogun. to kind of disrupt that potential dive. They don't have a fully stacked wave to crash in here as well. So great disengage coming through from Mad Lions, but that was that flash in I talked about with Taki. Out of nowhere, explosive.
A little bit of chess game between Alistair and Set, looking to see when someone gets pulled back, when someone gets pulverized or pushed away. We're seeing it play out. Ultimately, both bot laners take big chunks of damage. The wave is now being held in place just for a little. This has allowed Shogun to back pick up those double long swords. I think a lot of consumables for Unforgiven cannot be disregarded. 2 cookies and that potion still.
And they also have the lane in a great spot. You can see right now, Cannon goes down. They are starving Shogun, who went back for early cheat. And now Shogun, when he's back in the lane, he will have the item advantage. But in terms of the experience that Unforgiven currently have, it's actually more worth it for him. So if they can have him crash down this wave and allow him to go for a reset, then this whole sequence will actually have benefited him.
Well, to find out if he can get that advantage. Level 3 down a level to Unforgiven for now. That wave will move towards him. Goldborg, you can feel the tension of this early game. By 4 minutes in every single one of our previous games, people had died. And this time around, the tension, the fact that it is the elimination game for Saigon, it is the victory advancement game for Mad. And the first move, this is what we wanted to see. Mid and jungle supporting side lane.
Yeah, and Niski does not have teleport, so no one can actually help Armored. He just has to get out of here. He has to forfeit the wave.
Running, running, running. And tagged by the threaded volley. Beautiful bellows breath. Nicely done. Obviously predictable seismic sharp.
So what's the counter response from Mad Lions? Well, jungler, mid laner, up on the top side. While Drakes have been buffed with their early resistance and HP, that's not going to disrupt you from starting the objective when you spot half the enemy team on the top side.
Yeah, that's again one of the keys to victory for this particular matchup. We saw the Pantheon into the combo. We haven't seen it against just yet. I do want to highlight that with that move, as well as early trading, Niski is up 11 CS in that middle lane. It's a +6 in the top lane, but that should be balanced out because it looks like Armwood's got a wave in front of him, and actually will be able to pull ahead as Husband's Fiora is doing pretty well. 6 minutes on the clock. I am confident that is the earliest dragon that we've seen at play-ins. While I validate that, you let me know.
Yeah, sure thing. So, well, I don't know. You let me know when you validate.
It's 20 seconds late. RNG DRX had a 5-minute 40. That was the one of 2022, and that was about 6 minutes. Just 20 seconds later, the second fastest.
Now, Ahmed is in a position where, up in the top lane, his wave is slow pushing into a Fiora. He does have that flash, but it's not a very fun lane to have. So at some point, he'll have to be bailed out, or he's just going to be a point of attack, or he's going to lose a lot of CS by just staring at it.
One thing I also just looked at, when you look at the damage profile of Saigon, a lot of physical damage, there's that chess game, or checkers as it were. I move my piece, you move your piece. And they're instantly disengaged. I think Unforgiven and Kaiser come off worse for wear. It's a 3-for-4. Teleport not available for Armored as the Weaver's Wall locks the Mad Lions in place underneath their tower. Taki stepping forward, a 2-man knockup. Balvet comes in, first one Mad Lions, followed up by Niski as he arrives for the backup. A dive over the wall, the Void Rush manages to put BJ in trouble. Another! It's Mad Lions with 3. They're looking for 4, but Froggy is gonna flash over the wall! The Shadow Surge, as well as the Blast Cone. Niski's gonna flash away from the thread. Volley continues to chase forward. Fear, Ghost, Scare, Otto's all that's needed. One more to go. Niski is going to get the kill.
And that's beautiful. That is as good as you could have played that as a Vex in that instance. Held on to it so many times with the ultimate. Waited for the summoner spells came out. First with BJ, then with Focky. Brilliantly played.
Exceptional, and that was a tower dive that the Saigon Buffalo started. Look at the minimap. Niski's on his way. He's going to be late.
It's just such a good read, though. Like, even Aloria's movement here, if he gets CC'd up, he just dies instantly. But the fact he outplays it with the movement and the rest of the team manages to come together just means they win out on this play. And once again, waiting for the things to come through. Blast Cone, no longer available, but he's had the ultimate on him. So he's still going to get over the wall. And then in this instance, he's waiting for Kaiser to come around with the combo, but then he has the ultimate still applicable.
So nicely done. Flashing away that threaded void. Don't put you in risk. Anticipate the tower dive.
Now, picture in picture, Rift Herald has been started up, and the rest of Mad Lions is coming in. Oh, well, here's the Mad Lions, the coaching staff. We're out on the Rift now.
That was a happier looking Mac. Rift Herald is stolen! Elioya! Steps up, 1,700 gold lead. Saigon Buffalo gift wrapped it.
But the problem is, since he can't get the deadly Lavender, he's actually not being able to pick up the Void Links. Yes, he does get the Rift Herald, and of course that's really great. But he doesn't have that thing that makes Bel'Veth really suppressing once you get the Rift Herald.
At this point in the game, I think the aversion to risk is maybe the right call. You cannot disregard the power. Level 8 Fiora, 6 Pantheon, 7 Talia, and electing to get the Herald, drop it for the gold advantage is the safer play, the less risky one, and that is right where we find ourselves this game. Oh yeah, it's just going to get spotted out by the ward there. But the tempo of this game and the tempo of this series has been defined by whoever gets those first big skirmishes. Mad Lions in Game 4, in the match point, get a significant lead.
And they need to be careful here. They can't commit to a dive. You can see Saigon's response as well is that Froggy went for reset. He's pathing down towards bot side. Let's see how this goes again. So Rend haven't really been stacked up on the Rift Herald, so that's also a tool that they don't have available to them from Saigon. And I think it's just one auto attack that comes in with the smite immediately, and they're able to pick it up. And then it's as you say, they don't want to just sacrifice Elyoya and lose out on it.
Yeah, I feel like that's maybe what the decision-making was. And I also feel like Saigon Buffalo need to be careful. There's a lot of feelings in an elimination series when Saigon might have their season ending right here, might have their World Championship run ending right here. They do have a lot of tools, they do have a lot of skirmish power, but they need the next few attempts to be successful.
Here they go, this is the tools we're talking about though.
There's the stun from the shield bolt into the seismic shove. The Aegis Assault comes out, and that's at least the first on the board for Buffalo, exactly the way you want to see it.
Exactly, that's what you still have available in your toolkit from Saigon Buffaloes, and they use it immediately in the mid lane. They know Niski did not have the flash, so he's an easy target, and this is the thing you want to continue to see them use.
600 gold is the difference between the teams. The exact combo that Gulborg talked about in Picks and Bans was land the Pantheon combo, then followed up with Talia, and that threaded volley will do the rest of the work, and it did. Armut, does he call the Forge Guard forward? Yes, that's number 1. That's number 2. It will be riposted as Elyoya surges twice, 3 times. The knockup from the breath, but the damage isn't there just yet.
No, that's
Armut
brutal.
needs one more.
He's not
Armut
gonna get
needs
it.
one more, and he escapes for now. There's no further follow-up
Talia
either.
does have an ultimate as well. You can see Froggy's making his way up on the minimap right now on the top side. Does he just go straight into the fog of war? Or is he going back to the mid lane? He's going into the fog of war.
Weaver's wall, the threaded volley! Froggy takes down Armut!
Yeah, but what's the cost for it at the same time as well? Because while Froggy is getting down on the top side, they get the kill. Niski is in the mid lane, dapping on their minions, trying to shove it in to pick up some platings.
And again, just like the previous ones, Armut and Hazmed going toe-to-toe, surviving by the absolute skin of their teeth. This time, a jungler was involved for that exchange. Previously, it was 1v1.
Yeah, but look at the movement as well, once again from Saigon. They're responding so well to where they just saw Mad Lions. This is what happened with the first Drake. Mad Lions saw members of Saigon on the top side, they got the Drake. Now Saigon Buffalo sees members on the top side, they take the Drake themselves.
It's 1-for-1, 12 minutes on the clock, and we will be playing for a Cloud Rift. That's going to adapt in just a moment. Elyoya's got that Blade of the Rune King already, 3 assists to his name. And Niski this time around, 3-1-1. Involved in the team's 4 kills. He's got himself the Luden. So itemization advantage to the bottom half of the map, as of course, that is where the kills have been secured. And vice versa, this Fiora continues to farm up plus 20 CS. Divine Sundra completed, and there is a point where Fiora can take over the game, despite the fact Hazmed hasn't had a huge amount of support as of yet.
Oh, they did this early as well. Are they just going to give Elyoya the solo goal for the turret here with the Rift Herald? This is what they did when they just won with the Belvis before. This time around, though, Niski's going to oink it.
Yeah, I think Elyoya as well with that drop, and take a look at the numbers difference. Plus 1,600 gold in that mid lane. Armut finds himself down 700 or 800, but the first tower is secured. Armut gets jumped on as that lunge is followed up and number of plates secured. So for Mad Lions, in a good position as the game has started. The Hex Flash will come over, pull backwards, flashed away from. But here comes the Grand Starfall. And there's no target to jump on, there's no one to vault onto with that shield.
Oh yeah, Mad Lions getting way too over-aggressive, and justifiably so. Saigon, they punish immediately, throwing everything in there now. Be a bit careful, Chains of Corruption goes wide.
Oh, the pathing on that one. Shogun knew that the Fate's Call was available. Unforgiven, Cleanse, and Flash. Niski's making his way forward. BJ's here too, so is Froggy. Weaver's Wall's on cooldown.
It definitely is, but the big thing as well for Saigon is that with this Divine Sundra purchase coming through from Hazmed, he's going to continue to have priority in top lane. And for the rest of the game, that's going to be the case. Armut is only going to be relevant whenever there's a team fight around. And Saigon, they realize this. Froggy, from the mid lane, can move up towards the top side.
Holding on to that trigger for now. and with the fact that Saigon are in the deficit, and with the fact we've already established that in a straight-up 5v5, Mad Lions' composition may be more effective, may have more tools, assuming obviously they land their skills. How does Saigon claw back control? They're only marginally behind, but they're not that far down.
They're definitely not. And this time around, it's so easy for them to find the pickups as well. They have that late game win condition in their side lane. That's why I also said going into this game, I think this game is going to be closer than the games we've had so far. With the other series, 10 minutes into the game over. This time around, way closer. And with second Rift Tower spawning in 5 seconds, both teams might actually fancy their chances.
We've also seen multiple times this event, multiple times this series, Mad Lions do concede some team fights. They do sometimes overextend, and with the Belveth, where it's so obvious Rift Herald's the target, if you look at the minimap, 5 members of Mad Lions are grouped up. Hazmet's got the teleport available. Mad starting it.
Yeah, but this is also where the Fiora is maybe not going to do as much as Dion is. Armored buying items though.
Teleport's coming in from behind. The Blast Cone's actually setting up multiple Mad Lions members. The Weaver's wall slows down the follow-up, and Froggy's firing rocks over the wall. A second and third kill of the fight, and Hazmet's left for dead. In and amongst 4 Lions. All of a sudden, Froggy and Shogun are now dashing out the Shadow Surge once again from Niski. Froggy goes golden, and that's the fight for Mad.
And remember, Saigon had loads of win conditions, but the only one that wasn't their win condition was the team fighting. They opted into a team fight against Mad Lions. Shogun doing his best to kite it out.
And pow, 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 from that Royal Mainstro. El Yoyo will get the flash from Shogun. More importantly, they'll get the Herald and the Lavender.
Unbreakable Diamond. You need to be challenger to compete here, though, so Mad Lions move up towards the Rift Hell, but they're not going to take it just yet. They're going to go for the recalls.
Ooh, obviously low hit points. Again, though, Gulborg, measured aggression. It's similar to that first Rift Hell. They got the kill, they left the Lavender behind. They had the eye and they used that. This time around, leave it. Hey, maybe you get another fight. Maybe for Mad Lions, SGB will flip a coin back into the pit.
Yeah, and it's such an unfortunate position as well, because Taki's ultimate just throws himself over to a blast cone. That puts himself into 4 members of Mad Lions. When Hazmet joins the fight, yes, he does get a nice parry, but you're all standing in El Yoya, who's picking up his passive, doing so much damage. Froggy is caught on one side of the wall, forced to flash over. Now he doesn't have flash to get away, and he just gets run down by the Mad Lions.
Something that we haven't necessarily said out loud, but you see demonstrated in that fight. The amount of combat mobility on this composition is shocking. All of the surges from Belveth, Headbutt, Pulverize. You've got Vex with the ability to Shadow Surge again and again. You've even got the Bellows Breath, for goodness sake, and the Charge from Ornn. Outside of Varus just standing there like, hey, what's up? The rest of the team can chase.
Look at the map movement. There's 3 members currently of Saigon Buffaloes on the bot side. No one's actually in a position to respond to this Rift Herald. They're going to get the first turret. They're going to move Kaiser in from the mid lane, and they're going to continue just threatening this. They're sacrificing the Drake to get so much gold for themselves here.
Oh, man, look at those little Manta Rays flying forward. Following up from Ayoya, who's dropped the Herald, gonna get the charge, gonna get another tower secured. Mad Lions, 4,000 gold up. It is at the cost of the Cloud Drake, and Mad Lions are putting themselves in control of the game, putting themselves in control of the series, and now we'll be looking, as we're approaching 20 minutes, towards the potential Baron.
Yeah, but in the grand scheme of things, who cares about that Whimsy Drake? The fact that you pick up the gold with that second Rift Herald, that's really the big thing. But Saigon Buffalo, they have actually a luxury knowing that team fight objectives are not up at the moment. The fact that there's no neutral objective that all of them is going to be standing at means that you can try and get your pressure on the map. Now you can try and play for the Fiora. You can try and play for the Fog of War where you get a pick with the Talia and Pantheon. But you cannot go in 5 versus 5 and expect to win.
Now I want to see Saigon Buffalo adapt from how they played the previous game when behind. They stepped into the Fog of War simply too often. They got punished for it. They need to find some way to claw back this gold deficit, and that means you have to stem the bleeding. So with one more tower falling, it becomes riskier for the Mad Lions to push into Saigon Buffalo. They can look for punishes, but they need defensive wards.
Yeah, they are opening the map. They are trying to get whatever they can right now. I would have loved if this was the Fiora then, because that meant Talia could be shadowing the Fiora and have the Weavers all ready if you needed it. But it's still going to be fine. You're still going to be picking up the turrets for yourself. You're going to have Wave pushed into you on the bot side, but you're not going to have a response into Armut. So when Armut has the lane assignment that they put Ornn into Talia, he's perfectly fine. Whereas if you had Talia, or rather the Fiora into the Ornn, you would suffer a bit more.
I get what you mean. Now, in terms of Saigon Buffalo, they've got to lean on all of their experience from the course of this year. Still the youngest roster at Worlds, and a team that is the second seed from the VCS. They stepped up at MSI. This is the moment that they have to show that their adaptation from the series, and remember they picked this blue side, they went for this Kalista option as the first pick, and it hasn't had a chance to shine as of yet. Mad Lions have been able to suffocate, but Saigon are aware of this. I like this. They have a little bit better vision. That ward in the river, so crucial for them.
Yeah, so Sweeper is on cooldown, so Kaiser has just used it to finally get rid of it, but now the response has come through. Really, right now, they're just buying time. Here's a pickup, though, they can look for.
That's an instant flash into the cleanse, as well as getting away from the seismic shove. Armut's not going to find the knock-up, and Saigon Buffalo find themselves a pick. That vision we talked about gave them the information to dive forward. But this is a 4 versus 5. Call the Forge Guard's been used. Alyoya steps forward above and beyond, won't find the target. He's looking to fire out that Maelstrom, continues to auto-attack Taki. In a 4 versus 5, Alyoya's that far ahead, it pushes Saigon away.
Yeah, but that's also just the stylistic between the two compositions. Great stuff from Saigon Buffalo. They see an isolated member, they commit immediately. Then it becomes a team fight scenario, you disengage. You picked up a gold, you've got some more breathing room, that's it.
And of course, in terms of the compositions, that replay is going to be exactly how the compositions want to play. You want the skirmishes, you want the kills that give you the time to play the lane. That is what...
So he stops him, and he's having none of that. You stop a 80, you're getting it. And that just comes in immediately. So despite good sidesteps, it's just not enough when they have everything to throw at an isolated AD carry.
If you want Game 5 to happen, spam Mark Ruffalo to help Saigon Buffalo. And again, once Alyoya steps forward, Husman and Shogun be so careful. The flash away from Husband gets him to safety. Alyoya, he needs that CC to land in order to fire out those autos from the wingtips.
Yeah, and why, if you're wondering why Niski didn't take that ultimate on Shogun, Shogun had his shield bow still available. It would just have been a bait, throwing himself in there, and Niski would have died. But now, once again, opening up the map. That's what Saigon Buffalo does. Find picks when members are rotating isolated like you just saw before.
How afraid are you for Saigon at this point? It's 3,500 gold, but they have the dragon advantage, and they have champions that really don't mind going to the late game. They just have to avoid the straight-up head-to-head 5v5s.
But they also have a Varus that's unhit, and they have a Belven. That Baron, that's shredded. So you can never really keep it unwarded. You have to worry about this exact thing.
It's the darkness, it's the darkness, it's the darkness! It's full of fears, but the showstopper and the blast cone! That gets Taki out to safety for now. Taki stays alive for the Weaver's Wall to arrive. Niski will be backed up with the call of the Forge God, but nobody from Saigon dies just yet, until just a moment ago. 1, 2 members are down, but so far this fight is exactly what Saigon want. Multiple skirmishes, multiple fronts. Unfortunately for them, they're too far down.
Oh, they're not done.
All of a sudden, the Grand Starfall comes out. They're jumping on to Ornn. Kaiser's looking for the hop over the wall. Unforgiven needs to get into range. Armwood is staying alive just long enough for Unforgiven to arrive, but the seismic shove and the shield vault will force the flash out. Now Kaiser's the next to fall. Saigon ace match!
BJ, you absolute giga-chat! What a play to come through with! And it's through the mid and jungle combo that they picked up from the drafting phase. This Petalia and Pantheon is really paying its dividends.
Multiple skirmishes, multiple 2v2s. That is how this composition shines.
Exactly, and it looks so good for Mad Lions in the beginning, but they also overextend their welcome. As soon as they take the fight under the enemy turret, that's where it becomes really difficult to fight. You can see they want Shogun, but they don't get the damage on him immediately. That forces Alyoya to get on the turret. It forces him to get picked up by BJ, and they use so much time on the top side of the fight here to try and pick out Taki. Then they get isolated, and that's the big one. Once again, they see a lone little Ornn, and BJ punishes immediately, but we're not done. Out of the replay we go.
Fight, fight, fight! Alyoya, above and beyond, onto Taki, gets pulled backwards. He's the sacrificial lamb. Look at the minimap, look at the minimap. The rest of Saigon Buffalo are pushing the mid-outer turret. This will be the third of the game. If they can secure it, minion wave is being cleared out, so the tower will stand to live another day.
Look at the ultimates. Nothing has been used to pick up Taki. You just go straight over to Baron. If the enemy comes around, that's where you turn the fight. This should be so good for Mad Lions, and I'm wondering, how does Saigon Buffalo get out of this one?
3 dragons in Saigon's belt. Baron has been started, and we've already seen this go badly for Mad Lions at play-ins groups. Secondary charge from Armut is just for the disengage. And frankly, that goal difference is irrelevant at this time.
So crucial by the Talia. Kaiser could not get his combo through because he was stunned up immediately, so he just get pushed away with Froggy there. They get out all of them, scot-free. Ultimates get used, nothing connects. And Saigon Buffalo, they disrupt the danger.
I got a feeling, Gulborg. You don't know what my feeling is? Because I've
You
had
have a lot
many.
of feelings.
This is going to be a 10-game day. I got a feeling that we are going to have the maximum amount, because immediately following this will be Loud versus Dead FM. And look at this game.
Oh, here they go again.
The scale of 4,000. Unforgiven gets jumped on. The cleanse is popped. Alyoya will find the knock-up. Chain of Corruption is not going to be able to hold him in place. Alyoya's looking for it. Onto Binjay. Gets the summoning heal. The heal right, rather. Stays alive. There's a smite rather.
Niski,
Now Niski jumps forward. Not going to be able to find a kill just yet. Nobody's died. Nobody's died.
But here comes the re-engage with the ultimate.
Taki pulls him backwards. BJ once again knocked up into the air. Nobody's died. Finally, Hasmek gets one at the cost of his own life. The seismic shove takes down Armored. Saigon Buffaloes win the fight.
Everything says that Saigon Buffalo shouldn't win this team fight, but I don't give a damn. They're doing it anyway, and so much credit has to go to Bean that just instantly see a play, goes for it. The rest of the members comes around, and then Taki on the re-engage on the set with Hasmet giving his life to find the fight.
Like I said, I got a feeling that tonight's going to be a good night. And Saigon Buffalo feeling it too. Look at that engage. I cannot believe BJ stays alive for as long as he
I
does.
genuinely thought he was just going to die here, Mad Lions. We're going to pick up the Baron afterwards, but BJ stays alive. The Gold Ring are paying its dividends in that fight. Nessie comes through. Had this connect on BJ, he would have gotten the reset. That would have been the fight. That would have been probably the game over. Does not happen. Cannot one-shot Froggy. And now it becomes such an extended fight with Hasmet finally coming through. He's not used a single thing, and because of that, they're able to get at least one, making it two afterwards with Armwood dashing in.
That is one of the hardest team fights I have ever cast in my career, with the amount of everything thrown in at the middle lane. So many players going at 10% HP, and now the gold is bang on even.
What's so beautiful about this is Vietnam is showing up with their own style, right? You never see anyone go for this kind of style right now, but this is what has been so feared against them. It's the reason why BJ has been taking so many Pantheon bans throughout the tournament.
Not only that, they straight up stared Mad Lions at a 5v5 and went, we can win this. Despite being gold down, they managed to outplay it.
But this is the big one. Fiora is on the bot lane, currently pushing in the side lane. She does not have to teleport, so they're going to call the bluff. They're going to say, we start out the Baron, you want to fight? It's going to be a 4 versus 5.
Fake call is available in just a moment. Weaver's wall will lock Mad Lions inside the pit. The Starfall comes in, 3,000 hit point. Burger flip! Who gets the smite fight? It's picked up by Alyoya and the Mad Lions. They kill BJ. They kill Froggy. And now they're looking for Shogun and Taki at the pressure. Hazmed is pushing the ball. Maybe it's backed away. He's backed away.
It could have been the play. BJ steals that. That's Fiora just currently in a position to end the game if the rest of them can stop the ports. Unfortunately, that's not the thing we're actually seeing. And Mad Lions, they managed to pick up the Baron and later the team fight.
Alyoya, as well as Unforgiven, pushing the tower in the middle lane. Niski pushing the tower in the top lane. Just as Saigon bring back the deficit, the Baron is secured and Mad Lions once again retake control.
And this is going to be the big one because this is where you open up the base. This is where you push Saigon Buffalo out of the map. You can start taking the objectives. Start picking up the camps. Hasmet looking.
Fate's call is available. If Taki gets close enough, that can work. Hasmet is chunked down, forced to run. That's Almut flashing forward, won't find the knockup. The breath is bellowing, and Alyoya needs to dash away to safety. That Surge buying time. 4 members of Saigon Buffalo on the steps, and the fight will fizzle there.
And somehow, some way, Saigon Buffalo, they managed to defend their base. Teleports coming through from Niski now in the mid lane to stay on top of the push. But let's have a look at how this Baron actually unfolded. BJ comes in early at 3k. But despite that, there's still a lot of AoE, and the smite comes down at 1500. Anticipates the damage is going to be a little larger from the Q. He does not get it. And after that, it's an easy pickup from Alyoya.
Very nicely done. And learning from the DRX Baron throw just a day ago, Mad Lions in the pit this time, coordinated well, and please don't underestimate, that was a risky call. Had BJ or been able to land that smite, could have worked out. And crucially, for LEC fans, for European viewers, Mad Lions delay the Soul. They pick up their second dragon. They have a minute left on this Red Bull Baron, and they're stepping forward, GB.
But they're not playing on 2 lanes right now. They're throwing 5 members down in the bot side, which means that, yes, you'll be able to pick up this turret. What happens afterwards? You're 5 versus 4. Are you looking for anything? Good Walls comes out to disrupt it, but Armored as well with the break.
Yeah, too many members in front of the wall as well. That did very little to really slow down this siege. It will be a trade of a couple of towers, but advantageous for Mad Lions. Grand Starfall is available. Kaiser will not be able to find the engage as he will get the flash from Froggy. A lot of autos, threaded volleys being fired out.
Yeah, ultimate use as well from Unforgiven, so they don't have to change their corruption, and they're going to continue to chase them. Hasmed in the top side, seeing how much he can get. It's Baron empowered recall, so they will get back to the base. But Psycho and Buffalo, they managed to make it competitive.
They are not giving up. They are not conceding this game, and they are using the side lane pressure to demonstrative value. Hasmed has managed to push that bottom lane all the way to inhibitor turret. Top inhibitor is exposed, but again, let's not disregard the fact it's Mad that have the 2.5k gold lead. They have supers in the bottom lane. Baron has just timed out since 3,000 on the Baron buff. Power play, Red Bull Baron power play rather. But for Saigon, they cannot keep conceding, objectives and buildings in their base.
The problem is that Mad Lions is going to put their attention now on the top side. BJ, you might actually be caught. You do have a flash, maybe forced to use it.
Holding on to it for now. Well, the Forge God comes out, knocked up into the air, knocked up once again. Give BJ some frequent flyer miles. He's about to get status. Teleport is coming in from Hasmed. The showstopper delivers Taki to the back line to disrupt, dissuade, to disguise the fight. BJ still alive as Hasmed's now the next focus. He manages to dash forward to the riposte. 2 kills for the Buffaloes. Almost, and Ilya will at least get one in reply. As it stands, 2 members of the Mad Lions backing 4 Saigons live.
How good is BJ on this Pantheon? He's making it look disgusting. Disengages the fight by so much time with the stopwatch. The rest of the team comes in. 1 TP from Hasmed. The combo afterwards with Froggy, ultimate in the backline. Taki.
Oh my word. He's got a flash available to him. Not going to need it just yet. Look at the mini-map. Support not going to come in until this moment. Froggy, Weaver's wall forward, but will Elyoya have the damage? That's a flash over, and Taki gets taken down. Now onwards escape with his life. The seismic shove is surged away from Elyoya. Gets a donation.
These fights are so tense. It just feels like one mistake is going to be what makes and breaks them. At this point, it just feels like it comes down to execution. And it kind of just has to as well, because despite all of it, Saigon Buffalo is the team who's feeling the pressure. They are the team that's getting pushed in, and they are the team that has to team fight their way out of it. In a situation where they shouldn't be able to have the better team fighting, they do it anyway. BJ with the Morph Mortius, the Gorgeringer keeping himself alive, flashes out, and then look for the re-engage. Instantly has to see how everyone gets split apart by a great disengage by Taki. Has the ultimate to bounce forward as well. And once again, they find an isolated AD carry. Hasmed is doing so much, 1 versus 3. Has to give up his life for it, but he's already bought so much time.
Is it going to be enough for Saigon Buffaloes to regain control of this game? As it stands, Mad Lions lands the first punch. The counterattack from Saigon pushes them back. But if you look at the minimap, if you look at the supers, it's Mad Lions that are still somewhat in control. It is tentative.
And the problem that they're currently running into right now is that Hasmed don't have the same push as he did before. He's forced to play on the bot side.
Yeah.
Bot side has super minions. That means you're going to be slower with the push. So now top lane opened up. Bot lane still open. Mid lane, next point of attack. And Baron up in 30 seconds.
30 seconds for that buff. At this point in time, 31 total kills between the teams. A dragon spawning in a minute.
Oh, they're using the fuck of ward. Taki, somebody will have to face check.
Oh,
They're going to be around a good
ward.
pink ward as well. Using the extended range,
Another
but there's
one.
other people around.
Taki is in some trouble. Elyoya's waiting for the engage. And waiting for the horn. Holding on to it for now. Here comes Froggy from the side. Elyoya is fighting with Hasmed. Now Elyoya's got that flash. May just need him. Multiple Mad Lions jumping onto Hasmed. He's about to fall, and he does! But Taki jumps forward. Can he save the rest of Saigon Buffalo? Froggy, maybe the next target. He's buying some time in Golden State. But here comes Elyoya from the flank. Mad Lions may have just done it. Mad Lions are crushing the Buffaloes in the mid lane.
BJ still alive. Gorgeringer available potentially. No, it's not going to be enough. And Elyoya, only one against the Shogun, flashes away. Elyoya chases. It's not going to matter much. The rest of Mad Lions, they're charging towards the enemy base.
Look at the mini-map. 2 inhibitors down. 735 days ago, Mad Lions failed to advance from play-ins. 400 days ago, Mad Lions won a best of 5. And today, they eliminate Saigon Buffalo. And Mad Lions will face the Evil Geniuses for a shot at the group stage. The Nexus is about to fall. And they're taking their time to finish it out. Mad Lions eliminate Saigon Buffalo.
But I have to say it. If there's a way to go out as a minor region coming into this, the way that Saigon Buffalo leaves the tournament today, they can almost hold their head up high. The way they had some of these team fights, the individual skill level, the fact that they almost won this game that should have been done and dusted is impressive. But in the end, the better team is Mad Lions, and they advance to play another best of 5.
The last time that NA and EU faced each other in a BO5 at Worlds was 2018. Cloud9 versus, I think it was Fnatic or G2, producers just told me, but nevertheless, many, many years, it was Fnatic. Thank you, producers. I will give you one more shout out for Saigon Buffalo. They played the game their style.
So
with their picks and bans, regardless of the opponents, and they are hella competitive. Mad Lions had to dig deep, Mad Lions had to grow, and the Mad Lions today is stronger than what we saw during the group stage.
The only thing I'm left with is regret. Regret that we're not getting 5 games of what we had.
Yeah.
Especially the last one, while the others got a bit of stomp, but they can bow proud. They've really done the region proud.
Absolutely love seeing Saigon Buffalo interacting with the crowd. Thank you so much, Mexico City. Giving love to the Buffalo. We saw the Mad Lions giving love as well. Such a fantastic word. We'll be getting a word from a member of Mad Lions in a few moments, but now we're taking a break. We're breaking down that series with the State Farm Analyst Desk. Gentlemen, take it away.
Wow, quick shot. Didn't even want to hear what we have to say.
Yeah.
He wanted to go straight to break. His EU team wins their first best of 5 in 400 days. You heard him throw that stat out for Mad Lions.
Yeah.
That's going to feel
Crazy.
incredible. The main point of criticism around this team, right, in their trip to Worlds was the fact that they were just a best of 1 team, quote unquote, I'll say, in their qualification. But they get it done, and they do it in 4 games here. Now, I'll admit, Saigon made them work in this 4th game for what felt like it should have kind of been wrapped up quickly based on the way that it started. But it's good to see Mad get it done when they do have those leads.
Yeah, and I actually liked how this 4th game panned out because, again, we had Saigon Buffaloes going extremely Saigon Buffaloes. They talked a lot about BJ's Pantheon and, like, the aggression that
What
came
a
out.
departure from the other drafts.
It was crazy. It was crazy about how much action they wanted to force 3 winning lanes. But Mad played around it so well. Like, Elyoya's pathing early on to dodge the invade. We saw them covering the bot lane dive that came through, dropping waves mid. I feel like even though, like, Saigon Buffaloes came in with, like, a pretty cool strat that is very much VCS and Saigon Buffalo, Mad just did a great job of reading it well.
Yeah, the only thing I've also learned about this is, like, Belveth Vex is a really key combo.
It's crazy.
All 3 times last 3 times they played Belveth, they played it with Vex. And, like, Niski, he doesn't miss.
No.
Like, he is so good on this champion.
He absolutely does not, reliving some of the big impactful moments from this 4th and final game of the series. We'll get to see a bit of that Belveth on display.
Ornn breaks on through that Talia wall. And Shogun just unable to be involved in this fight before it's over. So difficult to dive through Ornn, Alistair, Vex. But really just back and forth kills the whole way.
I was actually surprised that Saigon Buffalo started to find kills coming into the mid game because their kind of mid jungle into bot side skirmishing kind of looked like, hey, we need to get ahead early and then just kind of steamroll you. And they were able to find, again, constantly find picks, especially sadly onto Unforgiven.
This sequence here, man, BJ and Froggy. I mean, getting the snipe here, he's gonna ult back in onto the Ornn. I have to say, I was super impressed by BJ and Froggy, particularly in this game. BJ across a lot of the series.
I think especially coming from their MSI performances where, again, at MSI for Saigon Buffalo was all about the bot lanes, where now we are kind of looking at the team holistically and being like, hey, you know, these are some interesting guys, youngest team at the event. Seeing them grow and seeing them in the future, definitely going to be exciting.
You're right, we've said that, but I forgot that 19 is the average age of this Saigon Buffalo's roster. So to step out onto an international stage and put up a performance like this, they should be proud. While I'm sure it will sting in the moment to have fallen in this best of 5. You know, for the side of Mad, I'll bring back the fact that we actually saw that Gnar band coming into this game. We didn't talk a ton about the draft, but actually,
you had a great
yeah, given all of the discussion for Armut's reliance, you know, quote unquote, on the Gnar, he's forced off of it, jumps to the Ornn. Ornn, a pick that actually hasn't seen that much priority or presence in this tournament, which I don't know about you, Lear. It goes against my expectation coming in, but that's you know, from a North American.
Exactly. That's what I'm kind of interested to hear your guys' take, because this is a champion we really don't see much in LPL. It is a lot of, like, fighters and bruisers and things like this. So when you guys expect a lot of Ornn, I was like, This is what happens in other regions.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of time it becomes a big pick in play-in, and then towards the end of Worlds or even in NA, I see it come in more in playoffs, like when people are really trying to win and the games are going to be a little more cautious. But a lot of these games have been too fast, and I think it also just depends on if you know the Ornn counters. Gangplank extremely good against it if you're able to play it well. Aatrox have been so popular, I imagine people have probably scrimmed at Aatrox just goes 100 CS up. So
it's actually funny. I didn't even really think about just like average game time.
Yeah.
And its effect on the playability of Ornn, right?
Yeah.
If you're not getting past level 14, 15, 16, then actually his value does drop just by virtue of that part of
Ornn
his
scales
kit.
off experience more than pretty much anything else.
Not being utilized. Very interesting idea. I'm hearing that the interview is ready, so we're going to hop on over to there. Laura's standing by for the Verizon postgame interview. We'll come back and talk a little bit right after.
And welcome back to Mexico for the Verizon post-game interview. Joining me right now is the victorious Elioya from Mad Lions. Congrats on taking down the Buffaloes today. Tell me about the pressure of going into this matchup, knowing that if you lost, it was off-season for you guys.
Yeah, I mean, I personally didn't have much pressure because I thought we were just a better team. So I tried to play with the less pressure possible, but there was obviously some pressure because it's a BO5. We are not that like we don't talk about BO5s, so it's been a roughie. But I mean, I didn't have much pressure. I think maybe some others on my team were feeling a bit more pressured. I think I just have some experience internationally, and it was for me it was easier, I would say.
So with this experience and what you said, I take that maybe Unforgiven was feeling some pressure. Can you elaborate on that and how you helped them maybe overcome this pressure?
I think in some games he was a bit scared, but it's normal. I think you're playing your BO5 in an international stage, so I can completely understand that. And to be honest, he just stepped out at that point. He didn't even need any help. He realized himself that some games he was like playing a bit like more scary than he usually plays, and he just stepped out in the last games.
And the whole team stepped up, honestly, and I mean, especially you, Belveth. Tell me about your love for this champion and what makes you so good. You may be the only player right now at Worlds flexing on Belveth.
Yeah, I think I'm the only like weird player I'm playing this champ. I mean, I think the champ is really flexible and it allows you many creative pathings. It's also a really strong champion to snowball given rifts and everything. So I just find it suits like my play style really good, and I'm really comfortable with the champ.
Something that other teams should be careful about, I mean, and something good to have. Also, moving on to the next stage. I have one question about the game, though. Leaving Pantheon open, you may be...